in Rajasthan, in the deserts of Rajasthan, the Indian Army neutralizing this Pakistani missile. We don't know what is the nature of this missile, whether it is a projectile, which is a medium range, or a short range rocket. But yes, that debris has been removed and taken away by the authorities. Headline number 7, damaged parts of a drone have been found in the Marsoos area. This is in Udhampur, which is the headquarters of the Indian Army's Northern Army Command. They have taken away the army officials. You can see them there in their uniforms and bulletproof jackets. They've taken away the remnants of this drone for further inspection and investigation. Headline number 8, there has been damage in civilian areas, particularly in Jammu, in a place called Rahari. Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister Omar Abdullah was visiting there. He's right now visiting what's called the Shambhu Temple, a famous temple in Jammu, in Rupnagar. Fortunately, the damage was in the outer perimeter of the temple complex, so there's not been any human casualties in that attack in the Shambhu Temple in Rupnagar in Jammu. Headline number 9, and this is important, Aman was referring to this a moment ago, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has spoken with the Pakistani Army Chief, General Asim Munir. This was earlier today. The U.S. State Department has put out a readout, and it has said that Secretary Rubio urged the Pakistani Army Chief to stand down, to de-escalate, and that America is willing to work with both India and Pakistan to try and get calmer heads to prevail. All right, we're getting a piece of breaking news. The BSF in Jammu has managed to destroy terrorist launch pads in Sialkot in Pakistan, is what we're given to understand. You can see those images on the left side of your screen. Arunima has more details on this. Arunima, so massive shelling, artillery shelling on both the LOC as well as in the international border. But in Sialkot in Pakistan, there's been substantial damage that the BSF has managed to inflict. What more do you know?
Yes, so they've identified this launch pad as Looney, which is in Sialkot district. This is just across from Akhnur in Jammu. Around 9 p.m. last night, 2100 hours, there was heavy shelling going on from the side of Pakistani Rangers. And in its retaliation, BSF took down this terror launch pad. They put out visuals, 2 sets of visuals. One just shows you how across the fence, suddenly the area, the farmland area there lights up. And it is the terror launch pad which was targeted. And then there's another set of visual which shows that what is believed to be the terror launch pad, Looney is what BSF has identified it, that's on fire. You can see that entire area set on fire. Back to back, second day of the BSF taking down terrorists and terror infrastructure. Yesterday, I mean the night before, they had taken down 7 Jaish-e-Mohammed terrorists in Samba. This was also, and this is a pattern which is emerging, that while Pakistan is upping the ante, either sending in drones or sending in missiles and munitions, they're also utilizing the possible distraction. They think that our forces are distracted to put in infiltration attempts. So Samba sector, BSF neutralized 7 Jaish-e-Mohammed terrorists. Yesterday again there was movement noticed at the Sialkot terror launch pad, and that has been destroyed as well. So Pakistan's misadventures are being thwarted at every level by the Indian Army, by the Indian Air Force, and also by the Border Security Force.
Arunima, doesn't it make us all feel proud of our defense forces, our entire mechanism, think tank, which is not just out-thought the enemy, but also tried to prove that where their thinking ends, that's where our thinking begins. So there is a certain level of preparedness that is evident at all levels. We've just got more news coming through, and we'll also try, as we get you, total 6 drones have been shot by the Indian Air Force and the Indian Armed Forces in Kutch in Gujarat, 4 by the Nalia Indian Air Force Base, and 2 by the Air Force Base or the Indian Armed Forces in Bhuj. So there are 6 drones overall that have been shot down even in Gujarat. So wherever the Pakistanis have tried to enter, the Pakistan Armed Forces, the military has tried to enter, they have been thwarted at various levels. The first probe level drones were negated. Then the probe level projectiles were negated. Then the missile defense systems were busted there on the other side, on the enemy side. Then the Dushman tries park air raids. When that happens, 4 air bases have been rendered useless. In fact, most of their machines can't even operate from those air bases. So Dushman again facing reversals. Then they try to go ballistic. They try to use their Fatah missiles, Fatah-I and II missiles, Barak and Akash, neutralize them in the Akash itself. And again, more drones that they are trying to send towards military installations in Bhuj. Again, those drones with munitions have been now decimated, have been destroyed. We'll also try and go across to Pallavi Ghosh to try and also outline how the entire jihadi connection, this entire Pak military is an out-and-out patron of jihadis, and they consider them as mujahideen or soldiers itself. And that is not just because of the pictures that were seen when you had a proscribed, US proscribed terrorist in Hafiz Abdul Rauf leading the prayers, and jihadis of Jaish and Lashkar, they were getting state funeral and with military personnel standing in attendance. But the DGISPR, there is now conversation that the DGISPR has a jihadi pedigree. The DGISPR has a jihadi pedigree. His father was a proscribed terrorist, flagged off by the UN Security Council itself, and he was an aide of Osama bin Laden. He actually leaked key information and details to Osama bin Laden. So that's the connection. Let us hope that the Indian machinery, the diplomatic machinery, the whole of Bharat approach that we are witnessing highlights this to the international community. This is the pedigree, and this is the group to whom the 1.3 billion bailout has been given by the IMF. These are things that we need to put out to the world to show this is the Pakistan that's being backed and by the IMF, and they should be branded terror state Pakistan. Does India up the diplomatic ante? We'll wait and watch. Now going back to the drones, Akash is with us on the phone line. Akash, so more drones neutralized by the defense systems. Now there is also talk that Pakistan tried to go ballistic, and they got a bloody nose there too, with Barak and Akash equally effective in our skies.
Yes, they tried ballistic missiles last night and in fact early morning today, Anand. And yes, air defense system of India, thwarted those attempts. But as far as these drones are concerned, so these 6 drones have been, destroyed by Indian Air Force. 2 at Bhuj and 4 are at Nalia. We have been given to understand. And also, Anand, since we know that Pakistan is basically targeting the air assets and in fact the airbase stations here in India. So we know that how air defenses are very much they're working pretty fine. We know that Akash air missile and in fact surface to air missiles and also the fighter jets are very much employed. We have seen the dogfight in Srinagar today. We are still waiting for the confirmation as far as downing of 2 Pakistani jet is concerned, and also other developments when we are learning about the Pathankot thing, learning about the Jammu thing, and also some sort of ceasefire violations that are happening across LC. So multiple fronts, Anand, but as far as western borders are concerned and western places here in India are concerned, so they are being targeted by Pakistani forces.
Right. There are 2 messages that have gone from our forces, from the whole of Bharat approach, and salute to our armed forces. Look at these pictures. The pictures show this is on the morning skies and confirmation that how these drones have been downed. I'm just going to check. These are the pictures that we were talking about over in Bhuj. And that's it. Let's try and listen into the ambient noise. These are the locals who are making the pictures, and you can spot the visual. You can spot. Yeah, ayo. That's what they're saying. See, that's the missile there. See, and the hand shakes. There you go. That's the missile. That's where it is, and this will be now down.
Missile drone ke mare la. Hane nahi je wala. Udai the drone ke ba. Udai with the. Udai the drone ke. Honte bhi nahi tu. Radar de. Kanak parte bhi nahi tu.
So there you go. So confirmation there that there was a missile going, and then the air defense systems come into play. The drone has been now negated. So the drone was trying to make its way towards a military installation in Bhuj, and there you go. It's been negated, and then you see both crashing down. Once the interception happens, the drone clashes, and so does the interception. So both captured both captured on the screens. But Akash, the message by Bharat is very clear. Ghusoge to marenge and ghuske bhi marenge. Both are happening.
Yes, both are happening, and in fact, Anand, I want to stress on one important point here. as far as Pakistan is concerned, so they say that they have got capable platforms and weapons. Today we have seen that how their systems are targeting the civilian population, and this one point is exposing Pakistan. They say that they are not targeting civilian population. Either your systems are getting failed or you are intentionally targeting civilian population. In both the cases, you are getting exposed. This is one, a place that is, outside one temple here, Shambhu temple in Jammu, where the projectile came in the morning. I'll show you the destruction. In fact, Rajesh ji is showing you the sort of destruction here. Civil population is getting targeted by Pakistani forces, and in fact, this is, out of frustration. क्या हुआ था सर यहाँ पे? कितने बजे की बात है
ये? सुबह 5:30 बजे की बात है। हम घर में सोए हुए थे तो जोरदार धमाकों की आवाज आई। कैसे लगा बम्बारमेंट हो रही है। तो 6 बजे के लगभग पूरे एक ऐसा जोरदार अटैक हुआ जैसे लगा कि कोई मिसाइल अटैक हुआ और मेरे ही छत पे हुआ है। तो मेरा उसी समय मैं उठ के बाहर आया और अपने छत पे चढ़ के देखा तो धुआं उड़ रहा था। तो बैक साइड से देखा तो मेरे घर के बैक साइड में ही धुआं उड़ा। तो मैं उसी समय घर से बाहर आया। जैसे घर से बाहर आया तो अपने गली में बैक साइड आके देखा तो बिल्कुल इस घर में अटैक हुआ है।
रहते हैं इसमें
यहाँ पे ये जिनका घर है ये बेच के चले गए। यहाँ पे कोई नहीं रहता था। लेकिन गनीमत ये रही कि यहाँ पे जो ये हमारा प्राचीन मंदिर है, आप शंभू मंदिर, हजारों वर्ष पुराना मंदिर है। ये यहाँ पे शनिवार और रविवार सोमवार के दिन हजारों की संख्या में श्रद्धालु आते हैं और शिवरात्रि के दिन लाखों की संख्या में श्रद्धालु आते हैं।
सर मुझे एक चीज बताइए, ये तो मंदिर तो हमने देखा है थोड़ा ऑल्टीट्यूड पे भी है, थोड़ा ऊंचाई पे है, इसलिए शायद टारगेट किया गया
ना। यहाँ पे 8-10 दिन पहले यहाँ पे एनएसजी कमांडो द्वारा मॉक ड्रिल भी की गई थी।
अच्छा।
क्योंकि ये यहाँ पे हमारा प्राचीन मंदिर है और यहाँ पे सुबह 4 बजे ही लोग यहाँ पे श्रद्धालु जाना शुरू।
मुझे एक चीज बताइए, क्या था? ड्रोन था, मिसाइल थी क्या? क्योंकि यहाँ तो कुछ दिख नहीं रहा है। हाँ।
सुबह पुलिस आई थी, दूसरी फोरेंसिक टीम भी आई थी। वो मलबा लेके चली गई है। ये एक मलबा है उसका पड़ा हुआ है। अब ये ड्रोन का तो हो नहीं सकता, यहाँ मिसाइल का, ये तो इन्वेस्टिगेशन का विषय है। ये पुलिस इन्वेस्टिगेट करेगी। लेकिन जो तरीके का
ये आपने उसका पार्ट, ये आप आनंद, ही इज शोइंग यू द विजुअल्स ऑफ दिस।
कैन वी गो फुल फ्रेम ऑन दिस प्लीज?
जिस तरीके का धमाका था ये ड्रोन का नहीं हो सकता, ये मिसाइल का धमाका हमें लगता है। क्योंकि जितनी उसका आवाज जो साउंड थी ऐसे लगा कि कान के पर्दे भी फट जाएंगे। इस तरीके का जोरदार धमाका था और सीधा अटैक जो मेन टारगेट था वो आप शंभू मंदिर था हमारा।
शंभू मंदिर था। कोई इंजर्ड तो नहीं है यहाँ पे? किसी को कोई चोट?
बिल्कुल, मैं आपको ये बता दूं कि सायरन बज गया था। सायरन अगर नहीं बजता तो लोग मंदिर को जा रहे होते। यही मेन रोड है, ये प्रवेश द्वार है मंदिर का। यहीं से लोग जाते तो बहुत कैजुअलिटी होनी थी। तो सायरन बजा, हो रही थी। हम सब अंदर थे, अपने घरों में थे।
एक बार फिर से अगर हमें ये दिखा पाए, ये वो पार्ट है, ये टुकड़ा है जो आपने धमाके के बाद यहाँ से उठाया है ना? और ये आप कह रहे हैं कि ये मिसाइल का वो हिस्सा हो सकता है या ड्रोन का वो हिस्सा हो सकता है?
देखिए, ये जो जिस तरीके का जो धमाका था वो ड्रोन का धमाका मुझे नहीं लगता कि हो सकता है। मुझे लगता है ये मिसाइल का धमाका है। ड्रोन का धमाका और मिसाइल के धमाके में और बम के धमाके में हमें अंतर है। तो जैसे जो पहले चल रहे थे वो लग रहा था कि ड्रोन के धमाके हो रहे थे, वो छोटे छोटे धमाके थे।
लगभग कितने लोग सुबह जिस टाइम पे हुआ उस टाइम पे श्रद्धालु भी आते होंगे, कितने लोग उस टाइम पे थे यहाँ पर जो आप कह रहे हैं कि साइरेंस के बाद अंदर चले गए?
देखिए, जब सायरन बजा तो लोग उसी समय अपने अपने घरों में चले गए। अच्छा। नहीं तो यहाँ पे 4 बजे ही श्रद्धालु अपने बाबा के चरणों में माथा टेकने जाते हैं। हमारा हजारों वर्ष प्राचीन मंदिर है यहाँ पे। यहाँ पे पहली बार अटैक हुआ है और ये बिल्कुल टारगेट करके, इसी मंदिर को टारगेट करके अटैक किया गया है। क्योंकि यहाँ पे 10 दिन पहले भी मॉक ड्रिल हुई थी। क्योंकि पहले भी आपने देखा हमारे बॉर्डर पे, वहाँ पे भी मंदिर को टारगेट किया गया, तो इधर भी यहाँ पे मंदिर को टारगेट किया गया।
Alright, Anand, I'll show you the visuals. Why this is important? Because this is the entry gate of this temple, and he is saying that at that time, air sirens were on, and that's why people who were present here, who were in fact, coming to this temple, were asked to, go back to their places, and this was the time when this particular projectile hit the space here, and in fact, Rajesh ji will show you. This is, adjacent to this temple, the entry, in fact, gate of the temple, and this temple is at a, height. In fact, at an altitude from where you can see the entire Jammu area. So possibly this was the target, and it was an intentional target. target. This is what people are suggesting here. We still don't know as to if it was a drone or if it was a missile, but we know this for a fact that how ballistic missiles are being used by Pakistan since morning, and not just in Jammu, but in other areas as well, where in Srinagar we have reports, in Avantipura we have reports, for Pathankot we have reports, and in fact we have reports for different parts in Gujarat as well. We know about the dogfight that happened in Srinagar, and we know about the sort of instances and in fact the incidents that have happened in the different parts of country, in fact in the western parts and the northern parts.
All right, Akash, we'll come back to you as and when there are further developments. I also want to go across to Lieutenant General retired Rajendra Singh, former DG Infantry, and Group Captain retired MJ Vinod, former fighter pilot, to get a sense of what this escalation means. Lieutenant General, let me start with you first. Clearly, there's been an escalation from the Pakistani side. I guess the attempt was to try and hit some of our forward air bases and Air Force stations. All of that has been neutralized. In response, India has hit at least 3 air bases of Pakistan. The old Chaklala Air Base, it's now called the Noor Khan Air Base, the Rafiki Air Base, and the Murid Air Base. Make sense of this for our viewers. What is the meta picture this Saturday morning as we count down the next 25 minutes for that important press conference by the Foreign Secretary and by defense officials?
Yeah. Thank you very much. First and foremost, when we look at the overall picture today, 2-3 things are quite clear. First is Pakistan is continuing its strike on civilian targets. It is also continuing its strikes right from Kashmir to down south in Gujarat. And the second thing which is happening is that Pakistan is striking or is attempting to strike our military bases as well. The third thing which is there is that they seem to be attempting to escalate the situation. In response to this, India's response has been measured, targeted, and has been generally targeted towards their air defense assets and their air bases. The strikes today, which have happened early morning on the 3 air bases of Pakistan, are actually cases in point. Now, what does it imply? It implies that Pakistan wants that we should suffer, and our border towns and the areas around it must undergo tremendous amount of civil defense alerts, and they are wanting to escalate a situation in which India is forced to take even stronger measures.
All right, let me go across to Group Captain Augustin Vinod also. Group Captain, so one pattern is very, very clear, that the attempt by the Pakistani side was to try and take out or at least attempt to take out some of our forward air bases. There were multiple drone swarms at Pathankot, the Srinagar Air Force Station, the Jammu Air Force Station, also Udhampur, I'm given to understand, all the way up to, Sirsa. Why? And in response, India has attempted to take down Noor Khan, which is, of course, one of their biggest air bases right in the heart of Rawalpindi. Why are either side trying to attack each other's air bases? Why is that the first line of defense that's being tried to be taken down?
Great question, Zaka. In fact, just kind of a while ago, I was discussing with Akanksha the same thing. If you look at how the pattern, when we hit their terrorist target, they didn't have an equivalent target to it. So they had some kind of choice, but they made a wrong choice. Okay, because of which we said, okay, it's not a tit for tat, but we will, if you're going to hit us 3, we are going to hit you 3 and leave it at that. And at every point, Jaka, we, of course, discussed ad nauseum on that. Gave you off ramp and continue to give you off ramp. Even today, though it's very nearly war, we are not even declaring a war. Even today, we are not crossing the red line in 2 cents, LAC, LOC, or IB. We're saying this side of the line, and trying to every time tell you this is our capability. Please wake up. But that seems to be not happening. If you look at Noor Khan, erstwhile Chiklala, like you said, we took out their strategic asset, most probably an MRTT or C-130. And you look at Murid, all their UCAVs comes from there. Their strategic UAVs comes from there. UAVs which can carry, I believe, even the nuclear air-to-ground weapons come from there.
Okay.
We have taken that out. And Rafiki is again a very important base because it has 6 fighter squadrons. Not only that, it is a very emotional base for them because it is named after squadron leader Rafiki, who got Hilale Pakistan and Sitare Surat. It's, I think, he's the only guy to have both gallantry award together in their scheme of things, and we have taken that out, and we have in the briefing also told them that's a no further. But have they got the message? I don't think so, because immediately after that came the Srinagar attack.
All right.
And we saw I believe we saw 2 fighter aeroplanes, if not 3, going down over Srinagar. So,
okay, just give me a moment, Group Captain. I want to get to this breaking news as well. There is now an emergency meeting that's been called for in 7 LKM. The Prime Minister is meeting with the National Security Advisor, Ajit Doval, who has reached 7 LKM. There's now a meeting between the Prime Minister and his National Security Advisor. Arun Danta has more on this. Arun, yes, go ahead.
That's right. Zaka, National Security Advisor Ajit Doval just arrived here at 7 LKM, and he's meeting Prime Minister Modi. This is a very, very significant meeting, Zaka, because we know what is happening, the way Pakistan has resorted to drone attacks, and the way India is, in fact, giving equal reply with the full measures to Pakistan. And in that regard, of course, this meeting is going to be very, very important. It's been 5 minutes since NS Ajit Doval has gone inside. Remember, even yesterday, he was here for
5-6 hours at the Prime Minister Modi's residence, and he's somebody, Zaka, who's been point person for Prime Minister Modi. He's somebody who's been giving regular updates to Prime Minister Modi, starting from the day one when the Pahalgam attack happened, and how India formulated the strategy against dismantling the terror infrastructure in Pakistan, and especially in last 2-3 days, ever since India started the Operation Sindoor. So NSA Ajit Doval has been that person who's been the point person for Prime Minister Modi. He's somebody, even if he's not here, he's been briefing Prime Minister Modi about each and every detail, each and every measure that the Indian forces are taking. So this is a very, very important meeting. We are also given to understand that he's also in touch with the CDS and the 3 services chief, because Rajnath Singh, of course, is also going to move towards the South Block, where already tribal services chief are there, where war room has been formed. They are monitoring situation from there. And NSA Ajit Doval's visit to Prime Minister Modi is very important, because he is giving those details to Prime Minister Modi, which he of course got from the Tri-Services Chief and the CDS.
Well, thank you for those inputs. Let's go across to Lieutenant General Rajendra Singh joining us, former DG Infantry, and also Group Captain MJ Vinod. Are we seeing perhaps not just a calibrated escalation from Pakistan, General Rajendra Singh, but also now is Bharat going to now up the ante? Is there going to be a shift in the overall posture of Bharat itself in this entire war on terror?
My assessment is that it is high time that India ups the ante and take on Pakistan in a much bigger way. And that is what is likely to take place. But that is my assessment. What the decision makers are going to do is a different thing. The second point which I want to make is that when you are dealing with an unpredictable, totally irrational enemy, then you need to strike him with strength. You cannot carry on with your measured stance for a long time. We have already struck their air defense targets. We have also restricted our strikes onto their air assets. And we have not gone beyond that. I think it is time for us to go beyond that. And I think that is what is likely to take place. Because unless you do this, the punishment that Pakistan is going to get would not be enough. I think we need to strike them with a blow that these people come to their senses. At the moment, I think that time has now come for India to really show its might.
Now, there are also the non-kinetic options, but we'll get into that diplomatically. What should be the assault? There are huge question marks around the supposed jihadi pedigree of the DG ISPR itself. We'll talk about that also. Should Bharat now go on a diplomatic, kinetic, all-out offensive, especially after the IMF, despite what Pakistan has resorted to, gave it out a bailout of $1.3 billion, and soon after that, Pakistan goes ballistic. But Group Captain MJ Vinod, our defenses of our skies, now has Pakistan been put paid? The probing aspect to try and see where they are located and if they can target all of that, none of this seems to have worked. But they have, now there is confirmation on that aspect that they have resorted to ballistic missiles. Fateh-I and II have been pressed into service by the Pakis.
Absolutely. In fact, Anand, like you know, for a while, for a long while, I was the Secretary Ballistic Missile Defense, and I know what goes behind when you are trying to bring down a ballistic missile. And thankfully, we placed them the way we placed them. And over Sirsa, the missile which was heading towards Delhi and probably closer to your studio, who knows, we were able to intercept them over Sirsa and bring it down.
Yes.
And it was a huge explosion that we saw when it was intercepted in air. So that and those probing missions, like you rightly said, Anand, should have given them some sense of fear and some sense of appreciation as to what they were looking for and what the effect was. It wasn't matching. Right. So at that time, someone who's a sane voice, and there are sane voices emanating, Anand, as we speak, from the Pakistani side. Marshal Akhtar has come up and said, and many people are saying that you guys are going on a madness rampage, and mind you, air war is conducted by air warriors, and air war is not conducted by army people, right. Like it is being done in Pakistan, which is very sad.
Group Captain MJ Vinod, I think you would be aware that the Pak Army Chief General Asim Munir, during the time when he was a major itself, was labelled the deceiver. So many in Pakistan believe he's deceiving the Pakistani people with what he's doing, but Pakistan is also deceiving the world. Meanwhile, closer home, in terms of the kinetic action that was witnessed over our skies, and it was all blocked, but there were two loud explosions that were heard in the morning over in Srinagar. So these are the pictures, and so this is CCTV records. CCTV records which are now showing two loud explosions, or we can hear them. There are two, yeah, that's the second one. So two loud explosions. That now, is this one of them, one of the planes that's being brought down, or is it the missiles that have been brought down? Which and this is at a time when yes, Ishan is joining us. Ishan, so what are these sounds reportedly? Do we have any this one? And is it close to the location where supposedly there was a missile and also remnants of a Pak plane that were found in Srinagar?
Yes, exactly. This is near that particular area where the CCTV footage clearly gives you an idea. The sort of explosions that we all heard in the morning, and since then people are in a little bit of panic, but the administration is trying to tell them to stay calm. Well, there are reports that there's a possibility of an aircraft of Pakistan origin which has been shot down on the outskirts of Srinagar, and since then we don't want to divulge any further operation details because it's an operation in progress, but two of these objects were recovered from the house of one of the persons living there. It's a very closely knitted locality where they fell, and lucky enough for the residents, that didn't fall on any of the houses, could have led to damage, but those were taken away by the police, and now what we have been given to understand is that a team is looking after it, what kind of object it is, whether it is part of an aircraft that possibly could have been brought down, because they believe that they have been able to successfully neutralize aircrafts over Srinagar, whether it's an aircraft or a drone drone which was neutralized, that remains to be seen, and that's being investigated. That part is being done by the security forces.
Right, and if it is two aircrafts, Pakistani jets that have been neutralized over Jammu and Kashmir, what happens to the pilots and have they been apprehended? Plenty of questions doing the rounds. There's nothing confirmed. We are standing by for the briefing, the MEA briefing, scheduled at 10:30 a.m. this morning. In about 10 minutes, it should start. So the countdown is on for that briefing to get underway. How detailed is this briefing? And is there a shift in the posture of Bharat itself? Overall, we'll see what Mr. Vikram Misri has to say, what Colonel Sophia Qureshi has to say, what Wing Commander Vyomika Singh say in that briefing, and how much do they outline and detail out what all Pakistan attempted in the intervening night of 9th of May and the 10th of May. Rahul Shivshankar joins us on the broadcast this morning. General Rajendra is with us, and so is Group Captain MJ Augustine Vinod. But more importantly, General Saab, if I may ask you, and Rahul takes it forward, this is a serious escalation by Pakistan. Now, is this foolhardy? Have they walked down a path of no return? And should Bharat now respond not in equal measure, but in a far more punitive measure? As of now, the counter strikes itself have hurt Pakistan. We're given to understand that at least 4 air bases of Pakistan have been rendered ineffective. Rawalpindi has suffered massive setbacks. Their machines also there have been destroyed. There is speculation it could be the C-130 fleet or squadron that's been destroyed entirely, but that's subject to confirmation. We'll wait for the official confirmation, but this is confirmed that Pak air bases have been hit. Yes, General Saab.
Yeah, I think you are absolutely right. The time is now there for more punitive action. That doesn't mean that you don't carry on with your diplomatic efforts. It also does not mean that the other means that you are adopting must not continue. But I think time is now right. Our army and the BSF is already responding correctly as far as across LC and international border in Jammu and Kashmir is concerned. I think time has now come to punish Pakistan in a bigger way. We need to strike their military targets again. I am not suggesting that we start striking civilians, which we will not do, because that is not ethical. That is not the kind of operations that we undertake ever. And I think unless we do this, these mad people running the military hierarchy in Pakistan will not come to their senses.
Well, what is very interesting, General Saab, is that this morning Mark Rubio actually spoke to General Munir. That's what has been reported by Reuters and other international media organizations, suggesting that for the first time, the American dispensation is addressing itself to the military, which they believe actually runs Pakistan. There's no secret of it. But I want to bring in Wing Commander Vinod also. Wing Commander, this morning, the entire thrust, once again, has been aerial. But Pakistan craft, we are told, were sighted over Srinagar. There were dogfights. We have been told that one of their crafts is downed, or maybe even 2. There's debris that has been recovered. You've seen some of those loud explosions that happened around 5:45 in the morning when we were all waking up this morning, and it pretty much happened real time. And after that, we know. So, what do you make of this? Getting the jets into the race now. At one time, it was just drones. Now come the jets. Sure sign of escalation, and we haven't. And let's be very clear, isn't it? Please correct me if I'm wrong. We haven't crossed the LOC in any which way.
Absolutely. In Group Captain, it doesn't matter. See, a couple of things, Rahul. In fact, while that famous movie, While We Were Sleeping, I was with Akanksha covering, we both were going through this live as it was happening. Yeah. The issue here is, I'll start your last question first. The issue here is we have the capability, Rahul, not to cross the LOC, LAC, IB, and yet hit them where we want to hit them, because we have that kind of vectors, like I covered earlier. We have scalp engine going up to 300 to 550. We have Rudram 1, Rudram 2. Rudram 2 hypersonic. I mean, किसी का बाप इनको intercept नहीं कर सकता. Not a single weapon in the world, Rahul, has a capability to intercept Rudram 2. We have Rudram 1, Rudram 2 carried by Sukhoi 30. We have a wonderful weapon called Crystal Maze. I've tweeted about it as well. Crystal Maze is a lower version or a lesser weight version of a famous missile called Popeye, which is an anti-radiation missile. We have that. And I believe, I mean, I'm betting my money on, Popeye used in the attack in Noor Khan, where we took out probably an MRTT or a C-130 of theirs in Noor Khan. And Noor Khan, we have inflicted serious damage. So is in Murid. Murid, Rahul, I think we have completely decimated their UAVs, and that is unmanned aerial vehicles and unmanned combat aerial vehicles both together in one shot, which means today they cannot simply penetrate into India unmanned and attack us, because those Bayraktar 1-2 kind of drones is Swaha already. Rafiki is the base, for the sake of viewers, I'm saying Rafiki is the mother base for the Mirage. They also have a Mirage fighter there. It's Esther version of Mirage fighter, Mirage 3s and Mirage 5s. Also, Rafiki has, if I'm not wrong, one squadron of JF-17 called the Tail Choppers. So Rafiki is a major military base. A majority of military targets which were on the ground have been neutralized. So it was 3 versus 3. It was not tit for tat. I mean, tit for tat was they sent very pow kilo ke bomb, just to probe, just to attack on our bases. That is their capability. So be it. But,
well, colorful language this morning from the group captain. Fantastic to hear this. Yes, viewers, look, we're just awaiting any moment, and I just want to draw everyone's attention to that very critical press conference. Remember, viewers, now for 4 or 5 days, we've had these press conferences daily. It takes me back to Kargil. General Singh and the group captain here will remember those days when there was a briefing every day in the afternoon and sometimes even twice a day. So, yes, this is war by another name. No doubt about it. India is being very, very responsible. I think both the general and the group captain this morning have been underlining that point. We've been extremely guarded. We have not done what the coward terror force that Pakistan has been doing, which is targeting our civilians. We've only been targeting their military assets, their military infrastructure after their terror infrastructure. So if there's been any graduated escalation, we are still within the bounds of law. We are still giving them what is known as, viewers, escape ramp or a ramp out. We also now know that the Americans have started interlocuting with the military directly. The call has gone out from, yes, General Saab, go ahead.
As far as our actions up till now is concerned, firstly, it's very heartening to hear the group captain about the kind of damage that we have been able to inflict. It is very good. But the point which I'm making is that we need to up the ante. We need to start bleeding Pakistan economically. There is a need for naval blockade.
Just coming to that, we're 2 minutes adrift of that press conference. I want to quickly go across to my colleague, Griha, because there's a lot of fake news that Pakistan is trying to sort of put out there. I just want her to go through some of that fact-checking that is being going on by the PIB. Yes, over to you.
Absolutely, Rahul. Thank you so much for that. Let's one by one take into account the kind of fake news propaganda that's been called out by the Press Information Bureau here in the country. Let's begin with the first one here. Indian female Air Force pilot captured. That was the claim that was made by one of the Pakistani handles where they had posted the picture of the Air Force pilot and a fake video doing the rounds where they claim that she has been captured. It has been completely rejected by the PIB, where they say that the pilot has not been captured. Pro-Pakistan social media handles have claimed that an Indian female Air Force pilot, squadron leader Shivani Singh, has been captured in Pakistan. This is fake news, doesn't have to be believed. Now, Rahul, the problem is that it's not just restricted to Pakistani propaganda. There are global reputed media houses who are posting certain unverified facts, and that is becoming rather problematic, and that is also constantly being called out by the Press Information Bureau here in the country. Here, this is the one that has been posted by Al Jazeera, where they have spoken about how there have been about 10 explosions around Srinagar airport in Indian-administered Kashmir. That's how they refer to Kashmir as, and reports have been, in fact, put across. This has been completely called out by the PIB, where they are saying that Al Jazeera English has claimed that there have been those 10 explosions at the Srinagar and around the Srinagar airport in Jammu and Kashmir. This claim is fake. Rely only on official sources for authentic information. Do not fall for these false claims intended to mislead and cause confusion. Underlined fact that has been posted by the PIB. Another one that's coming in here, where the PIB says that it is being claimed that there is a temporary closure of services on Delhi-Mumbai airline route, an important one for anybody traveling within the country, where they are again saying that it's a fake claim. The Airports Authority of India has extended the temporary closure of 25 segments of air traffic service routes within Delhi and Mumbai flight information regions due to operational reasons only. And that has also been dissed. Another one, something that was, of course, rather bizarre, was the claim that was made by another Pakistani handle, where Pakistan said that it has destroyed the Indian S-400 air defense system. That claim, again, has been fact-checked, and they are saying that this is what the truth is. Posts circulating on social media that claim that Pakistan has destroyed an Indian S-400 air defense system. Remember, an important one, a jeweled feather in the ADS crown of India. Absolutely a fake claim, says the PIB. Reports of destruction or any damage to an S-400 system are absolutely baseless. So all of these fact-checking accounts, they have been put out across at the Press Information Bureau website and also on the social media platform now.
Absolutely. The real facts now will be presented in just a few minutes. We were told that at 10:30 the briefing is going to begin. We know that the NSA is meeting the Prime Minister right now. That's also news that has come through. But it's a minute past 10:30. That meeting is going to happen any moment now. It'll be interesting to hear from I suppose it would be the Foreign Secretary, Mr. Misri. He's been helming these along with the two Indian Armed Forces personnel there. So we're being told that that is the same team that is going to be addressing this press conference. So it's a wait and watch, viewers, because our side has been very, very conservative with the news. We haven't tried to make bombastic claims, even though there have been many questions lingering in the air about casualties that the Pakistanis have suffered, action that has been taken on Pakistan soil. We have kept it extremely, extremely anodyne, factual, understated. And even when questions have been posed to the team that comes out for these press briefings about whether India has taken this action or that action, or be brought down X plane or Y plane, they have said these are operational details which can't be disclosed because these are ongoing operations, which of course is extremely important. Now, we're keeping an eye on that, but just a very quick one, viewers, a quick update to where we stand. About 10:30 in the morning, a total of 6 drones have been shot by the IF in Karachi, Gujarat, 4 shot down in Nalia and 2 in Bhuj. BSF Jammu has destroyed launch pads in Sialkot. We have news coming in that the NSA is meeting the Prime Minister. They are clearly going into another huddle, perhaps even reviewing the night's progress, the operations, going back on the effectiveness of the Indian action. You are seeing pictures of many Pakistani projectiles that have been knocked down, missiles included. There was talk in the morning that there were even one particular kind of projectile headed towards Delhi, which was knocked out of the skies close by. We were also being told that loud explosions were heard in the morning in Srinagar, and that 2 Pakistani aircraft have gone down in Srinagar region. We are being told that that is an ongoing operation to try and recover personnel who might have come down. We can't confirm any of that. China has expressed concern over the escalating conflict, but is sitting very firmly on the fence, saying we urge the 2 sides to de-escalate. The Americans have picked up the phone and are interlocuting now as we speak with the general who's leading Pakistan, who has led Pakistan into this misadventure, who has thought that for personal gain he could get away by executing the terrible, terrible, dastardly act of carnage in Pahalgam, but clearly has fallen on his face because Pakistan's attempts have been thwarted time again. 4 days they have tried to breach Indian defense systems. They have failed miserably. they're looking poorer for it. And I want to bring in once again the group captain, Augustine Vinod, and also General Singh. Group captain, Pakistan looking poorer for it because A, they perhaps don't have the wherewithal and they've underestimated India's firepower. It's very clear. There's no other way of looking at this, and resolve, of course.
Of course. In fact, Rahul, I'll tell you something, and for the sake of viewers, there is a fundamental difference between the way war fighting is done by India and war fighting is done by Pakistan. The fundamental difference being ours is a polity-driven country and theirs is a force-driven country. I mean, I was teaching war plan and war gaming in the College of Air Warfare. So with that as a background, and let me tell you, the people who take decisions in the upper echelons of Indian Armed Forces all go through those training courses where we understand what an escalation ladder is. The question or the observation that General was making. In our case, we follow different. I mean, we study different kinds of escalation ladder models, be it the Khan model, the KHN model, or the Russian model, where we know at what level of escalation we want to take it to and what are the pointers at which we will escalate to what level. So all that has been wargamed, all that has been decided. And like I said, since we are a polity-driven country, we have other aspects also, Rahul, to keep in mind before we escalate it to make it extremely prohibitive for Pakistan. And you see in last 2-3 days, there is no the nuclear saber rattling from Pakistan at all. And even that, Rahul, has been wargamed and wargamed 1,000 times. At what stage will he press that red button?
Right.
And I must tell the viewers and you, there is no war game the conditions in which the Pakistan can and will press that button, and which is why probably the reason why he's not nuclear saber rattling anymore.
Okay, well, some inputs coming in, sir. Some inputs coming in. Let me just update our viewers as well as you, of course, so you can make something out of this. We also have General Singh with us. This is a Chinese statement that has come out, Chinese government. We strongly urge both sides to act in the larger interest of peace and stability, exercise calm and restraint, return to the track of political settlement through peaceful means, and refrain from any action that could further escalate tensions. The Chinese putting pressure on both sides to de-escalate. Of course, with India, we have not been told whether there has been direct contact between the Indian government and the Chinese government. So clearly this is just being put out by them on their social media handles. In fact, we are being told that AFP is quoting a spokesperson of the Chinese External Affairs Ministry. So that's really what's happening, a briefing. And Siddhant joining us for more on this. Siddhant, what can you tell us about all these interlocutions that are going on? So the Americans are calling the Pakistani General Munir. The Chinese are urging India and Pakistan to de-escalate. Any conversations happening at the official level, or just these statements by the spokespeople, etc., etc.?
Well, these statements do matter, Rahul, especially in these times when there have been missiles fired by both sides. And in fact, as far as Saudi Arabia and United States, these two countries are concerned, perhaps from a day one, it appears to me that they have mainly been involved in mediating, perhaps talks or rather, pushing de-escalation. In fact, in the same series today, Marco Rubio spoke to Asim Munir directly to the Army General. And in fact, we have been told that very clearly, in a very clear words, Marco Rubio told Asim Munir to de-escalate. Perhaps last time when he spoke to Shehbaz Sharif, nothing happened, and this time around, Americans realized that let's speak to the person who is the mastermind and who is calling the shots in Pakistan. Now we're getting to know that the Chinese have come up with a statement. In fact, Chinese have said in the statement that they strongly urge both sides to act in the larger interest of peace and stability, exercise calm and restraint, return to the track of political
But there's been no official contact between the Chinese government and the Indian government, right? I mean, there's been no confirmation of any conversations that are happening.
Last I know, Rahul, after the strikes were conducted by the Indian side on the terror camps, Doval established contact with his Chinese counterpart Wang Yi, and that is the last time I guess India spoke to China. After that, if some back channels are on. I really don't have any idea about that. But officially, that was the last communication between India and China. Having said that, Saudi Arabia and United States, as I said before, it appears to me that they are the main guys, pushing for a de-escalation.
Well, viewers, all I can tell you right now, as we await that all-important press conference where many things will become clear. I don't know, of course, how far the officials on the Indian side will take us through the actions that have been taken very visibly, viewers, because we've got enough visual evidence now, and I'm going to show you certain visuals that have come in from Pakistan, from the streets of Pakistan, from these air bases specifically. There is also talk of degradation of certain airfields, which are very, very critical to the operational requirements of the Pakistani Air Force, etc., etc. Airfields, of course, one of the first things that are targeted, General, because they completely, at one level or the other, disable an enemy's attempt to try either thwarting or, of course, coming across and causing damage. So that's one of the reasons why I presume the airfields are the ones that are first targeted, as well as, of course, radar systems. But what is your reading of the way the Indians have responded since last night? What does this constitute in your mind? The choice of targets and, of course, the quality of the action that we have seen visibly.
I think India has been carrying on with a kind of a plan that is well thought out, and as per the strategy that we have evolved for ourselves. This similar strategy was evolved, or a similar strategy was implemented during 1971 war also, where right in the beginning, our Air Force was able to actually decimate the complete Air Force of Pakistan in Bangladesh. And in the Western sector also, they were able to achieve a favorable air situation which allowed the ground forces to go in for major offensive. I think the similar thing is happening. But I think for us to, now we are dealing, there are two things different. Now we are dealing with the irrational, totally irrational military leadership of Pakistan. And we seem to be depending far too much on United States. They have the very fact that this IMF loan was sanctioned.
Yes.
I think that has been facilitated to a very large degree by United States. Their vice president is saying it is none of our business. I think our diplomats, our external affairs minister, and Prime Minister Modi is going to take a note of it. I am by no means suggesting that we do not make use of the good offices of
some big
United
news coming
States
in,
of
General
America.
Saab. Some big news coming in. There is news that seems to suggest, and this has been put out here, that India is launching retaliatory attack at Saroda Airbase of Pakistan's Punjab. Now, if I can just bring back the group captain, who is extremely clued in about these strategic assets that Pakistan maintains. The Saroda Airbase, tell us a little bit about this.
It's a, it brings back the memories of 1971, Rahul, because the Saroda Airbase, when we hit it with the hunters, and I believe it was the Operational Conversion Unit which I commanded, which hit Saroda. And the Saroda kept burning, can you believe it, for 7 days. 7 days the Saroda kept burning.
Wow.
7 days it kept burning. So that is a kind of target Saroda is. The Combat Commander School, which is the Top Gun equivalent, is there in Saroda. So Saroda is a very, very big target in terms of target selection. Now, quickly, Rahul, give me 30 seconds for me to make sense to people who are watching us as to how this air war is panning out and how this is going to have a much larger effect, taking a leaf from what General also talked about in 71 operations. And what we do is something called counter-air operations. Counter-air operations. The aim of doing counter-air operations is that when you're doing a ground offensive, or when you're moving your own troops within your country, etc., you don't want enemies' air to come and interfere with you. So the counter-air operations has two sub-aspects. One is something called DIAD, spelled DEAD, also dead, is when you take out his radars and his other communication networks, etc., which we have done and done very beautifully. Next thing about counter-air operations is hitting the airfield. That was your question.
Yes.
So if we have to keep the enemy down, we have to blind him and we have to cut off his limbs so that he does not come and interfere with you. So that, to the extent that we achieve, is where we say the air control, which General also mentioned, favorable air situation. So for the air control is also
okay, I just
divided
need to interrupt you. Those are the shots coming in from Saroda. Look on your screens. Look on your screens, viewers, as well as the group captain. Just look very closely. That's the Saroda Airbase. These are videos that have been sourced from Pakistan. So, look, we're going to be a little careful about not going full tilt with claims. But this is what the Pakistani media is claiming, that Saroda has been hit by the Indian aircraft or missiles or projectiles. I can't say, viewers. We don't know, but this is all the reporting that is happening from there. Something has gone and smashed and hit the Saroda Airbase, which is in Pakistan, Punjab. Tejinder joining us. Tejinder, what can you tell us? This was a drone strike? Was this a missile strike? What was it?
See, what we have been told that a strike has been launched by the Indian Defence Forces on the Saroda Airbase in Pakistan's Punjab. And those visuals which have come from Pakistan clearly show that people in the area saying that the Saroda Airbase has been badly hit. There have been several explosions, though right now the operation is still underway. So the agencies are not disclosing what type of ammunition, whether it was an air strike, a drone strike, or a missile strike that has been carried out on the Saroda Airbase. But yes, we can confirm that the Saroda Airbase of Pakistan Air Force has received extensive damage. The runway has been damaged. Their hangars have been damaged. This is what the sources have confirmed to us. And the locals in the area who saw the blast taking place inside the Saroda Airbase have also confirmed that there has been a massive destruction that has been caused. This is the retaliatory effect of the Indian Defence Forces because the Pakistan, if you see the Pakistan tried to carry out multiple strikes on various Indian military installations across not only in Jammu and Kashmir but other parts of the country. All those air strikes, missile strikes, drone strikes from the Pakistan were destroyed by our air defense mechanism. But in a retaliatory effect, the retaliatory fire which the Indian armed forces have carried out several. The Saroda Airbase has been...
Now where exactly is the Saroda Airbase, Tejinder? How far deep into Pakistan, Punjab is it across, of course, our borders?
See, it is deep inside Pakistan's Punjab province, which from where the Pakistan Air Force and Pakistan military, they launched several attacks. We are told that this air base was used to carry out drone strikes, the air strikes, and also missile strikes by the Pakistan armed forces on our defense installations, which were foiled. So deep inside Pakistan's Air Force base, the Indian Defence Forces have carried out a strike, and massive destruction has been caused to Pakistan Air Force assets. We are told, though we don't have exactly the number of aircraft of Pakistan Air Force that have received damage because of this airstrike, but yes, the confirmation from the highest level of sources say that there has been large-scale destruction to the air assets of the Pakistan Air Force, and the runway has also been destroyed, making it the airbase incapable of launching any airstrike anytime soon. So right now this airbase seems to have lost the capacity to launch any airstrikes against India, but yes, a massive retaliation by our Indian armed forces towards the one of the biggest, what we are told, this is one of the biggest airbase of the Pakistan Air Force. And
so since the morning now, Tejinder, since the morning, we've seen a large number of retaliatory strikes by India on air assets of Pakistan. Now, can you just take us through some of them? There's Rafiki, we are being told, all in the Punjab province, I think. Rafiki, Murid, we are being told there is one in Pindi. and now Noor Khan, and of course this one, Sargodha.
Yes, there is also a Rahim Yar Khan airbase that has also been attacked by in the retaliatory fire of the Indian Army, Indian Defence Forces. We are told that the airstrip of that, the Rahim Yar Khan airbase, has also received extensive damage. But yes, this retaliation has come in the backdrop of Pakistan Defence Forces launching multiple airstrikes, multiple drone strikes, multiple missile strikes towards Indian Air Force stations. You see, Rahul, they tried to attack the Udhampur Air Base, they tried to attack Avantipura Air Base, they tried to attack Srinagar Air Force Station, they tried to attack the Pathankot Air Base, but all those attacks from the Pakistan side were destroyed. Their air projectiles that they launched, whether in the form of missiles or drones, were destroyed by the air.
Okay, the press conference has begun, viewers. Let's go straight across. That's the all-important press conference this morning.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I welcome you to this press briefing by Foreign Secretary Shri Vikram Mishri on the ongoing developments around Operation Sindoor. We are also joined by Colonel Sophia Qureshi and Wing Commander Vyomika Singh for this briefing. With that, sir, the floor is over to you.
Thank you. Indeed, good morning. Namaskar. Sorry to keep you all waiting. जैसा कि हम पिछले 2-3 प्रेस ब्रीफिंग्स में भी बता चुके हैं, ये पाकिस्तानी गतिविधियां हैं पिछले 2-3 दिन से, जो एक एस्केलेटरी तौर पे देखी जा रही हैं और प्रोवोकेटिव तौर पे देखी जा रही हैं. I've said on numerous earlier occasions, it is Pakistani actions that have constituted provocation and escalation. In response, and I repeat, in response, India has defended and reacted in a responsible and measured fashion to these provocations and these escalations by the Pakistani side. Earlier this morning, we saw a repeat of this escalatory and provocative pattern, and I'll invite Colonel Sophia Qureshi and Wing Commander Vyomika Singh to update you on the developments since early this morning. Colonel Qureshi.
Thank you, sir. Namaskar. पाकिस्तान सेना ने पूरी पश्चिम मोर्चे पर लगातार आक्रामक गतिविधियां जारी रखी. उसमें यूकैप ड्रोन, लॉन्ग रेंज वेपन्स, लॉइटरिंग म्यूनिशंस और लड़ाकू विमानों का उपयोग कर भारतीय सैन्य ढांचे को निशाना बनाया. नियंत्रण रेखा पर भी ड्रोन घुसपैठ और भारी कैलिबर हथियारों से गोलाबारी की. अंतर्राष्ट्रीय सीमा और एलओसी पर श्रीनगर से नलिया तक 26 से अधिक स्थानों पर हवाई घुसपैठ के प्रयास किए गए. भारतीय सशस्त्र बलों ने अधिकांश खतरों को सफलतापूर्वक निष्क्रिय किया. फिर भी वायु सेना स्टेशनों पर उधमपुर, पठानकोट, आदमपुर और भुज बठिंडा स्टेशन, इन सब पर उपकरण व पर्सनल्स को हानि पहुंचाई. मैं ये भी बताना चाहती हूं कि पाकिस्तान ने हाई स्पीड मिसाइल सुबह 1:40 पर इस्तेमाल करके पंजाब के एयरबेस स्टेशन को दागने की कोशिश की. एक निंदनीय और अनप्रोफेशनल एक्ट के तहत पाकिस्तान ने श्रीनगर, अवंतीपुर और उधमपुर के वायु सेना अड्डों पर चिकित्सा केंद्र और स्कूल परिसर को निशाना भी बनाया, जिससे उसके द्वारा सिविल इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर पर हमला करने की गैर जिम्मेदाराना प्रवृत्ति फिर उजागर हुई. पाकिस्तान द्वारा सैन्य ठिकानों को जानबूझकर निशाना बनाने के पश्चात भारतीय सशस्त्र बलों ने त्वरित व सुनियोजित जवाबी हमले किए. टेक्निकल इंस्टॉलेशन, कमांड एंड कंट्रोल सेंटर्स, रडार साइट्स और हथियार भंडार को चुनकर निशाना बनाया गया. रफीकी, मुरीद, चकलाला, रहमियार खान, सुकूर और चुनिया स्थित पाक सैन्य ठिकानों पर एयर लॉन्च सटीक हथियारों व लड़ाकू जेट से प्रहार किए गए. पसरूर स्थित रडार साइट और सियालकोट का एविएशन बेस भी प्रिसीजन एम्यूनिशन से टारगेट किए गए. इन कार्रवाइयों के दौरान भारत ने कम से कम कोलैटरल डैमेज की क्षति सुनिश्चित की। चिंता का विषय यह रहा कि पाकिस्तान ने लाहौर से उड़ान भरने वाले नागरिक विमानों की आड़ लेकर अंतर्राष्ट्रीय हवाई मार्गों का दुरुपयोग किया ताकि वे अपनी गतिविधियां छिपा सके। ऐसी चालों ने भारतीय वायु प्रतिरक्षा तंत्र को नागरिक सुरक्षा सुनिश्चित करते हुए अत्यधिक संयम के साथ कार्य करने के लिए विवश किया। साथ ही साथ पाकिस्तान ने मिस इन्फॉर्मेशन का सहारा लेते हुए आदमपुर स्थित S-400 प्रणाली, सूरतगढ़ व सिरसा के हवाई अड्डों, नगरोटा के ब्रह्मोस बेस, देहरागिरी के तोपखाना पोजीशन तथा चंडीगढ़ के अग्रिम गोला बारूद डिपो को नष्ट करने के झूठे दावे सोशल मीडिया पर फैलाए। भारत इन फॉल्स नैरेटिव्स को पूर्णतः खारिज करता है। नियंत्रण रेखा पर पाकिस्तान ने ड्रोन घुसपैठ और भारी तोपखाना गोलाबारी के कई प्रयास किए। कुपवाड़ा, बारामूला, पुंछ, राजौरी और अखनूर सेक्टर्स में तोप, मोर्टार एवं हल्के हथियारों से भीषण गोलाबारी जारी रही। भारतीय सेना ने प्रभावी व तुलनात्मक प्रत्युत्तर देते हुए पाक सेना को काफी क्षति पहुंचाई। पाकिस्तान सेना के अग्रिम क्षेत्रों में सैनिकों की डिप्लॉयमेंट बढ़ती दिख रही है, जो स्थिति को और भड़काने की मंशा दर्शाती है। भारतीय सशस्त्र बल पूर्ण परिचालन तत्परता की स्थिति में है। अभी तक सभी शत्रुतापूर्ण कार्रवाइयों का प्रभावी ढंग से सामना कर उपयुक्त जवाब दिया गया है। भारतीय सशस्त्र बल दोहराते हैं कि वे तनाव वृद्धि नहीं चाहते, बशर्ते पाकिस्तान भी ऐसा ही व्यवहार करे। आखिर में आपको कुछ वीडियो दिखाना चाहती हूँ जहां पर इंडियन आर्मी के वेपन्स LOC पर पाक के एसेट्स को ध्वस्त करते नजर आ रहे हैं। स्क्रीन में आप देख सकते हैं इस वीडियो को। धन्यवाद। जय हिंद।
Commander Singh.
Pakistan military continued with its provocations, carrying out aggressive actions employing multiple threat vectors all along the western border. Pakistan employed UCAV, drones, long-range weapons, loitering munitions and fighter aircraft to target civilian areas and military infrastructure. Pakistan military also resorted to air intrusions using drones and firing of heavy caliber weapons along the line of control. Along the international border and the line of control, air intrusion and several harassment attacks were also attempted from Srinagar till Nalia at more than 26 locations. Indian Armed Forces successfully neutralized these threats and majority of the vectors. However, limited damage was sustained to equipment and personnel at Indian Air Force stations at Udhampur, Pathankot, Adampur and Bhuj. There were also several high-speed missile attacks noticed subsequently after 0140 hours in the night at several air bases in Punjab. In a deplorable cowardly act, targeting of civilian infrastructure also had taken place, where Pakistan attacked the Medicare Center and school premises at the air bases of Srinagar, Avantipur and Udhampur, yet again displaying irresponsible targeting of our civilian infrastructure. In a swift and calibrated response, Indian Armed Forces carried out precision attacks only on identified military targets. These included technical infrastructure, command and control centers, radar sites and weapon storage areas. Pakistan military targets at Rafiqi, Murid, Chaklala, Rahim Yar Khan, Sukur and Chunya were engaged using air-launched precision weapons from our fighter aircraft. Radar sites at Pasroor and Sialkot Aviation Base were also targeted using precision munitions. While carrying out these responses, India ensured minimum collateral damage. Pakistan has also attempted to execute a continued malicious misinformation campaign with claims of destruction of Indian S-400 system at Adampur, destruction of airfields at Suratgarh and Sirsa, BrahMos base at Nagrota, RT gun positions at Derang Yari and Chandigarh forward ammunition depot, with heavy damages to other military stations being propagated on social media. India unequivocally rejects these false narratives being spread by Pakistan. Along the line of control also, Pakistan has attempted multiple air intrusions using drones and conducted shelling using heavy caliber RT guns, targeting civilian infrastructure and killing some civilians. Heavy exchange of artillery mortars and small arm fire in Kupwara, Baramulla, Poonch, Rajouri and Aknoor sectors continued. Indian Army has responded effectively and proportionately, causing extensive damage to Pakistan Army. Pak military has been observed to be moving their troops into forward areas, indicating offensive intent to further escalate the situation. Indian Armed Forces remain in a high state of operational readiness. All hostile actions have been effectively countered and responded appropriately. Indian Armed Forces reiterate their commitment to non-escalation, provided it is reciprocated by the Pakistan military. At the end, I would also like to show you a few images of Air Force bases in the Punjab sector and Rajasthan sector, where it is mighty clear that we are debunking the Pakistani claims of causing destruction at these air bases. You can yourself see the normalcy and these air force stations. This is Sirsa, Suratgarh. The runways are intact. They are also time stamped. Just notice they are also time stamped. This is today. Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Colonel Qureshi. Thank you, Wing Commander Singh. I just have a few points to make in closing. First of all, as you have seen, Pakistani claims about activities that they have undertaken continue to be heavy on lies, misinformation, and propaganda. And on top of that, this is peddled by Pakistani state agencies. The claims that they have made about attacking and destroying various places, various military installations and facilities, as has been pointed out by my colleagues here this morning, are completely false. The claim about the Air Force station in Sirsa being destroyed, completely false, as you've seen. The claim about the Air Force station in Suratgarh being destroyed, completely false again, as you have seen. There's a claim that has been made that the S-400 base at Adampur was destroyed, completely false, once again. Claims have been made about large sections of Indian critical infrastructure, power systems, cyber systems, etc., being attacked and destroyed, completely false. I would urge all of you and all those who watch this not to be misled by this tissue of lies that is being peddled by the Pakistani state for obvious purposes. The second point that I wanted to emphasize is that Pakistan continues with its execrable and wanton campaign of targeting civilians and civilian infrastructure, especially in the states of Jammu and Kashmir and Punjab. There is also on its part a consistent attempt to sow discord between communities in India. As I said, there has been a particular focus in its targeting of civilian infrastructure and the population in Jammu and Kashmir and Punjab. Earlier this morning, Pakistan shelled the town of Rajouri, killing the additional District Development Commissioner, Sri Rajkumar Thappa, adding to the civilian casualties and the damage in that state. We have also observed overnight damage to property and injuries to civilians in Firozpur and Jalandhar, among other places. Finally, as I said, Pakistani officials also continue to make ludicrous claims about India firing missiles towards Sri Amritsar Sahib. As I said, these lame attempts to divide India are doomed to failure. We have also seen in some of the remarks that have been shown on television that the Pakistani army spokesman seems to take great joy at the fact that the Indian public should criticize the government of India with regard to various issues. It may be a surprise to Pakistan to see citizens criticizing their own government. That is the hallmark of an open and functioning democracy. Pakistan's unfamiliarity with that, again, should not be surprising. And finally, there is this yet again completely ludicrous claim that Indian missiles have hit Afghanistan. Totally frivolous allegation. And I only want to point out that Afghan people don't need to be reminded about which country it is that has, on multiple occasions, in just the last 1.5 years, targeted civilian populations and civilian infrastructure in Afghanistan. Ladies and gentlemen, as you would have gathered from this morning's briefing, we are dealing with an evolving situation. Accordingly, today we don't have the time to take questions, but we will continue to update you on this situation as we go along. Thank you all very much for joining us this morning.
Well, viewers, that was a very comprehensive press conference there by Mr. Misri and, of course, the two officials of the Indian Armed Forces who have been doing their job diligently day after day. Now, let me just quickly recap for you some of the points that were made before we connect to Siddhant and other reporters who were there at this press briefing. I can tell you that the first big headline that emerges from there is that the Pakistanis are moving their troops into forward areas, which marks on their part, according to Mr. Misri, an attempt to escalate. So let's note that very, very importantly, 8 air bases have been struck by India. Varying degrees of incapacity has been imposed on Pakistan forces in those air bases. They were detailed and they were known and listed like Sargodha, Noor Khan, Murid, Chaklala, Rafiki, Rehmatyar Khan, Sukur, and the Sialkot Aviation Base. All of them targeted, all 8 of them targeted by Indian forces. Viewers, no, of course, comment on the kind of munitions that were used to do this. Also, we have news that 26 localities were targeted overnight, ranging from Srinagar to Nalia, and they were targeted using an array of airborne munitions, including fighter aircraft by Pakistan. That is also what the team has told us, led by FS Misri. Now, lies and propaganda, viewers, is being spewed by Pakistan, and all of that has been negated by the 2 or 3 officers that made that presentation. Lies about offensive successes peddled by the Pakistan state agencies are all lies. Which ones exactly? Well, the fact that they targeted the Sirsa Airbase, for example, that looks absolutely spot on. You can see it on your screens. Suratgarh, S-400 base at Adampur, critical power cyber systems, all of these are very much functional, not touched by the Pakistani offensive. Also, civilians have been targeted and there's been an attempt to sow the seeds of dissension between communities. The news about Sri Amritsar Sahib being targeted in a false flag operation is lies. There are no strikes on Afghanistan, and several high-speed missile attacks have been made by Pakistan in complete violation of all known laws. I want to go straight across to Akash for more on this. Akash, what do you make of this press conference? A lot of details, and I have to say that most of these details, congratulations to you and the others in CNN News 18 getting the information right. The scoops were all right. Yes, go ahead.
2-3 takeaways, Rahul, I want to stress on. First one, the weapons that have been used by Pakistan to target the infrastructure here in Jammu and Kashmir, in Punjab and in Rajasthan as well. UCAVs were very much used, long-range weapons were very much used, loitering munitions were used, and jets were used. We know that how there are reports that jets were downed, in fact, by the Indian Air Force. We are still waiting for the confirmation. Nothing on that aspect was spoken in the press conference. Also, in the contrary, India used precision weapon, which means that we only targeted the infrastructure that we intended to. And this is the reason why they don't have any civilian population impacted with the sort of strikes that were conducted in retaliation to what they initiated. Also, as far as our country, our places are concerned, so we have seen in Jammu and in fact in Firozpur that how civilian population is targeted. They have targeted one hospital, in fact a nearby hospital was targeted here in Jammu, and we have seen that how they have targeted one temple here in Jammu. Other than that, they are moving their forces in the forward areas. We have been reporting for days now that how there is a movement that has been reported by the intelligence agencies where they have been in fact mobilizing their forces in the forward areas. They are placing their artillery in the villages. It was very much mentioned by Colonel Sophia in the press conference, and she said that Pakistan military is moving its troop in the forward areas with offensive intent to escalate the situation. We have categorically mentioned that we don't want any escalation, and this is the reason why we are not targeting any of your civilian population or your administrative blocks for that matter, but instead you have been targeting not just our military infrastructure but also our civilian population. We have seen that how in Rajouri and Poonch civilian areas were targeted. On LC they have been using howitzers, they have been using these RT guns in fact to target the towns. We know that how in Poonch dynamics are such that in the base we have Indian village, and at the top of the hill we have the Pakistani post. So it is very easy for them to target the civilians, and this is what they are doing for so many days now. In fact, last night firing was happening, and across the LC we have seen that how they have been involved in ceasefire violation. A number of other things were also in fact made very clear as far as our establishment and our assets are concerned. So all assets are safe, and in fact it was categorically mentioned by not just the Foreign Secretary but also by Colonel Sophia and the officer wing commander who was sitting there for the press briefing. It has been categorically mentioned that whatever they targeted, they got failed in it because our air defense was very much there. Our AD weapons were there, AD guns were there. In fact, we have, in fact, made a number of damages to their infrastructure. We know that how a number of their Air Force stations were targeted. And in fact, we have been reporting, Rahul, since morning that how their Noor Khan Airbase, which is, of course, in Chaklala, has been targeted by Indian forces. A precision hit is what has been done by the Indian Armed Forces, and this is the reason why their AD radars and in fact their sensors and the weapons within the Air Force stations have been destroyed. We have been talking about Shorkot Airbase that is in Punjab of Pakistan, and also the Murid Airbase which was targeted. A number of other military infrastructure was targeted by India, but the difference between the Indian strikes and the Pakistani strikes is that India has targeted the exact location where they have their AD systems. On the other hand, they have been targeting our civilian population out of frustration because they have not been successful till now in any sort of attempt that they have tried. Rahul.
Well, let me very quickly, viewers, hold this phone up for you, and we're going to try and focus on some of these pictures. So, viewers, this is one of the air bases that Pakistan says it struck, and you can see that this airbase is the AFS Sirsa Airbase. Fully functional. There's a timestamp there, and the timestamp shows 10:48 a.m. So quite clearly, this is why the press conference got a bit delayed, because we were collecting information to ensure that all the fakery would be set aside. So this is one very clear example of Pakistan saying that they've taken out the Sirsa airbase, but here it is fully functional, cars going in and out, not an issue to report there. Now, viewers, AFS Suratgarh. There you can see, once again, The runway absolutely intact. All the assets intact, runway intact. In fact, this was taken again, and I'm just trying to blow this up here so that one can get an idea, around 10:44 a.m. So at 10:44 a.m. you can see there are fresh tire marks there. This entire airstrip is absolutely functional, not a blemish. Now a long drawn out shot here again of the airbase there. Again, viewers, you can see this is a more panoramic view. Nothing has changed on the ground. There you can see it, viewers. Nothing has changed on the ground. We're going to also put those visuals out for you after treating them properly so you can get a sense of them. This is the propaganda that Pakistan has been spreading, that they've caused extensive damage. All of these pictures are latest within the last 10-15 minutes, viewers, half an hour. In fact, less than half an hour. All of them show that these particular air installations are perfectly okay. So clearly the Pakistanis are harried. They don't quite know what to do, how to do, when to strike. There you can see there's a military truck, there are personnel on the ground. There is not a scratch. There's not a scratch. Maintenance, which is regular maintenance and inspection. There you can see you have some of our assets there. I don't want to focus them too much, but you can see all of them are there. Nothing here which shows that anything untoward has happened. So it's quite clear, viewers, that all of this propaganda by Pakistan has assumed is coming out of desperation, really. Coming out of desperation because they haven't been able to do squat to India. And there is going to be a briefing in the evening. And there's going to be, the phrase is, Sham ko sab batayenge. So questions have been asked. And I'm going to try and get Siddhant on this. Questions have been asked about other interesting details. Akash there also, Aman also there. Aman, the phrase that was used was Sham ko sab batayenge. It's almost as if picture abhi baki hai. There's a lot to tell. Clearly there have been other incursions and other successes by the Indian Army, which for operational reasons, which are in continued motion right now, can't be divulged. Would you agree with me?
Absolutely, Rahul. And I think the sense which I got from the press conference where I was there inside the Ministry of External Affairs, two things very, very clear. That one, Pakistan is on an escalatory, inflammatory mode. They are trying to provoke India. They have used high-speed missiles at our Air Force stations in Punjab. They are trying to damage us. And this is all happening, Rahul, after Pakistan has secured the IMF bailout last evening. So it is very clear that Pakistan has reserved this provocation only after it got the IMF bailout. So India is essentially also asking the world community that, look, you're putting dollars, in their bank, billions in their bank, and they are firing missiles at us with that very money. So that is one question that India is very clearly asking to the abroad community. Second question, I think, which is very interestingly, they said that even the Pakistani armed forces, the Pakistani military is mobilizing in big strength on the borders. This shows that their intent is not good. This is also a very, very important, development, because this shows that Pakistan is also trying to put pressure on the LOC, on the international border, by mobilizing its forces.
Okay, some breaking news coming in. Just hold your thoughts. Aman, Marco Rubio has also spoken with Indian External Affairs Minister Subramaniam Jaishankar, Dr. Jaishankar. There's a conversation that's happened. Secretary Rubio emphasized that both sides need to identify methods to de-escalate and re-establish direct communication to avoid miscalculation. He further proposed US support in facilitating productive discussions to avert future disputes. Well, one of the problems, viewers, is that the United States has facilitated an IMF bailout for Pakistan. So start walking the talk, America. And I want to bring in Aman Sharma on that point. Walk the talk. Don't give us this lecture sermon about de-escalation, nuclear powers, when you are actually rewarding one that is completely out of line.
Absolutely, Rahul. And India is strongly saying that off the record that it is US, which is helped with this IMF bailout to Pakistan. US has a bigger vote because of its economy size at the IMF. It was because of the US, India did abstain, India did register its objection. But it is ultimately the US also has to introspect. And interestingly, Rahul, the US has, Mr. Rubio has called up Mr. Jaishankar here, but who is called up in Pakistan? He's directly called up the Pakistani Army Chief, Asim Munir, because US is also realizing that the real power is not with the political machinery, not with the Prime Minister of Pakistan, Shehbaz Sharif, but with the Army Chief. And no, the word I'm getting from inside here, from top government sources also is, US may say what it wants. US can call up Munir, US can call up our foreign minister. India will hit back if we are hit. We will not listen
Let
to any
me
other
also
country.
bring in Zaka Jacob on this. Zaka, what do you make of this? The Pakistanis wanting us to de-escalate this, that, the other, but also, of course, playing their own games on the side.
So Rahul, look, I think the Americans are realizing that both India and Pakistan are, pretty much in conflict now. This is not a low-intensity conflict anymore. This is a full-blooded war. We've had 4 wars in the last 75, 77 years of our history. This is likely going to be the 5th one. It's drones, it's missiles. Now there are long-range missiles. You heard from the press conference a moment ago saying that Pakistan is moving troops to the forward area. So clearly the Americans, and I think Donald Trump has basically told Marco Rubio to be the front person as far as the Trump administration is concerned, to try and engage with both Indian and Pakistani counterparts. So earlier this morning we had the readout from the State Department saying he's spoken with the Chief of Army Staff, General Munir. Now he's spoken with Dr. Jaishankar as well. The other problem, Rahul, is no direct engagement between India and Pakistan. There were some reports about the 2 NSAs speaking, but of course the steer that we're getting from the Indian side is that we're not necessarily talking, we're in touch, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we're talking. One other interesting development is China. The statement that was put out this morning by China asking, I think for the first time, explicitly Pakistan to de-escalate. I think that will have some bearing, some weight on Pakistan as well. But look, I think there are 2 conflicting factors here. The Americans and the Chinese are now asking very publicly and having almost daily conversations. Certainly, Marco Rubio is having multiple conversations, every few days with both his Indian and Pakistani colleagues. But at the same time, the conflicting factor is, militarily speaking, both sides are now locked in. They're locked in this escalatory ladder. And if either side needs to come off, then they need to go back and be able to claim to their respective domestic constituencies that, look, this is the win that we have. Otherwise, we seem to be locked in this escalatory ladder. What started off with drones, then progressed to missiles, is now soon going to progress into troop movements, which is already alluded to by Wing Commander Singh in that press conference. The Indian side also is matching the troop movements on our side. So eventually, what you're going to get if both sides don't climb off this escalatory ladder is that you're going to have a ground offensive. And I don't think that's particularly going to be good for either country. Now, look, India is very clear in its position. We didn't start this. The original escalation was Pahalgam, where 26 Indians were segregated by religion and they were killed. India's response has been to Pahalgam, to the original escalation. That's why India carried out Operation Sindoor, after which we gave Asim Munir an off-ramp saying that, look, this is a one-time retaliatory strike. We don't want to escalate this any further. We've not targeted any military installations. But Asim Munir chose to respond and escalate further, so he's now targeted military installations. The press conference there also said that some of the targets certainly were the Air Force stations in Pathankot, in Bathinda, AFS Suratgarh, AFS Sirsa, all of which there is no damage at all. So, countering this Pakistani misinformation. So while India hit terrorist targets, Asim Munir has escalated this to the next rung by targeting military installations. Therefore, India is left with no choice but to defend as well as to retaliate, to respond. So in response, India has hit the Sialkot base station there in Pakistan, also some of these major Air Force stations. The Noor Khan station, for example, is the biggest in Pakistan. It's one of the oldest. It used to be called the Chaklala Airbase. There's a military training college in the middle of that campus. The general headquarters in Rawalpindi is barely a few kilometers there. It's almost an adjoining campus. So these are some real high-profile military targets in Pakistan that the Indian forces have hit. But this is in response. This is in retaliation.
Yes.
So I think we'll have to wait and see, which of these countries, which of these international mediators will have pressure to bear on Pakistan and India. Clearly, look, the person that they need to get off the escalatory chain is Asim Munir. He's the guy who's climbing the escalatory chain. He needs to be asked to back off.
It's the hyphenation that actually is a bit disingenuous, because even you've sort of suggested that it was the Pakistanis that were the ones that started all of this from Pahalgam. And when they were given an off-ramp, they didn't take it. We were very clear that our actions on the day one were only targeted at terror infrastructure. They had no business to come through the next night and go about targeting our civilian. Now, let me just read this statement to you because it's very interesting. The Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, spoke with Indian External Affairs Minister Subramaniam Jaishankar. Now, let's focus on the words. Secretary Rubio emphasized that both sides need to identify methods to de-escalate and re-establish direct communication to avoid miscalculation. So there is a quick but almost immediate expectation, which is start speaking to each other, and first to avoid a miscalculation and then to identify methods to de-escalate. And he further proposed US support in facilitating productive discussions to avert future disputes. Now, there are 2 or 3 ways of looking at it, and I want you to weigh in on this. Number one, is US part of the problem or is it part of the solution? Today we've had off-record briefings from Indian officials who have said that it is most unfortunate that the United States didn't weigh in on the IMF, lean on the IMF to try and stall that loan, because that is what has actually given Pakistan this sort of boost, some sort of confidence lift to go ahead and do what they've done today, which is an escalation.
Absolutely. I think that announcement from the IMF came around midnight, and soon after that, it was like an emboldening signal. It was a signal to not just the Pakistani civilian establishment, but certainly to GHQ in Rawalpindi. All right, you've got the monies you need. It was $2.3 billion. It's not a small amount of money, and that's gone through. So go ahead. So the signaling that they seem to have taken away from that is that, look, the international community is standing with us. The IMF, of course, is controlled by the Western powers. America has 17% weightage there. Anything above 15%, Rahul, is a veto power. So effectively, the United States had veto power in the IMF, and yet they've chosen not to exercise it. And you look at the comments that have been made by President Trump initially, and then J.D. Vance, I think, articulated it. He was here in India when Pahalgam happened, and people were talking about how, you know, this high-profile attack happened timed to his visit here in India. And he says that, look, we're not going to interfere in somebody else's war. It's their business. It's up to them to sort it out. I can't think of a previous U.S. administration that's taken such a hands-offish approach, despite the fact that Mr. Rubio, the Secretary of State, seems to be speaking to both parties every few days. Like I said, this morning he's spoken to the Chief of Army Staff in Pakistan, General Munir. He's also spoken to his counterpart, Dr. Jaishankar, here in Delhi. And the one thing that stood out for me was Secretary Rubio emphasized that both sides need to identify methods to de-escalate and re-establish direct communication. This is the other problem. Even in 2019 Balakot, when the Pulwama Balakot escalation happened, there was direct negotiations happening between the NSAs, the National Security Advisor Ajit Doval, and his then counterpart. Right now, there is no direct negotiation happening, and I think that is one part of the problem. There were some suggestions that the two NSAs, the new NSA of Pakistan, who also happens to be the DGISI, there's been some conversation between Mr. Doval and him, but Indian government sources have said that they're in touch, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they are talking. So I think you have a situation where you have this deranged military general who seems to be, wanting to really send his country down to the gutters, and at the same time, you're giving him off-ramp after off-ramp. He's not willing to take it, and there is no communication directly between both parties concerned. I think, the military reality on the ground is we're locked on this escalation ladder. Munir does not want to take an off-ramp. India does not have a choice but to be seen as responding to each.
What struck me above and beyond, of course, Akash, you're on air actually. What struck me really about this statement, and of course, just prior to this statement, the telephone call or whatever they did to reach out to the general. Now that is important, viewers, because it tells you that America knows only the general is actually in control. Now, whether the general wants to be formally in control, we don't know, but certainly motivated by some sort of personal idea of personal gain, some sense of self-aggrandizement, he went and gave the green signal to conduct Pahalgam. And that has led really to this escalation to the point where the world is now waking up to a situation where troops are moving to forward areas, and we are seeing the kind of visible scenes of destruction in Pakistan that are being relayed almost live to us. Now, I want to also, Zach, just stay on with me. I just want to quickly bring in Aman, as well as, of course, Akash on this. Aman, very quickly, there seems to have been a predetermination on the Indian side. After Pahalgam, we're just going to shut down all visible communication doors. Now, I don't know what is happening back channel. One Pakistani minister came out, and Zach, you were privy to this, you saw that on air, saying that, no, there have been contacts between the NSAs. I don't know. First of all, do you actually lay, Zach, I'm asking you this, do you believe that there was some sort of a back channel that has been opened? NSA Doval, of course, talking about him, he's just leaving the Prime Minister's residence. So what do you make of that?
Well, Rahul, I think...
no, one second. I was just bringing in Zach on that, and I want to bring you on to the larger question. Yes, Zach, go ahead.
Just very quickly to your point, the very next day, there was a steer that came from the Indian government that, look, they're in touch, the two NSAs, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're talking. So I don't think they're talking. I don't think there is direct communication, because if there was, there wouldn't be a need for the US State Department readout that just came out, Marco Rubio's conversation with Dr. Jaishankar, asking both sides to have direct communication. So that's the other part of the problem. There isn't a direct communication that's happening right now.
That's an important observation, actually. Yes, if you really read between the lines, that's really the implication, isn't it, viewers? Now, we don't know if this was a predetermined decision. I just want to quickly bring in both Aman, and I also want to bring in Arun Dhanta, I think. He's the one who's outside there, outside 7 LKM. Arun, first to you very quickly, that meeting over between the NSA and the Prime Minister has gone on for quite a bit of time, actually. It's gone on for about 1.5 hours, if I'm not mistaken, maybe even longer.
That's right, Rahul. 1 hour, 20 minutes. The meeting lasted here at Prime Minister Modi's residence, and NSA, of course, we know that, in fact, yesterday he was here at Prime Minister's house for 5 hours, and he was part of every other meeting that happened here, either with Rajnath Singh and the 3 service chief, and then RAW and IB chief, and then finally with the External Affairs Minister and the Foreign Secretary. And today, when, of course, we are seeing at Rajnath Singh's house, CDS Anil Chauhan is meeting him. They are assessing situation there. You have 3 tri-services chief in the war room in South Block, and here NSA meeting Prime Minister Modi, and of course briefing about the current situation and how majorly India's response has been against Pakistan, and that has, of course, amply been made clear by the Foreign Secretary in that press conference, that their responses have been measured, calculative, and no civilians were targeted by them. So I think at this point in time, when India is giving brute response to Pakistan at different locations, this meeting between Prime Minister Modi and NSA Ajit Doval is very important.
Sure.
And in some time
and
from
I
now,
want to
Rahul,
bring
we're
in
expecting that perhaps...
Yes, we are going to have a second briefing by the MEA. So, and they've said that they're going to let things, they're going to talk in more detail. And Aman, you were, of course, privy to that. And I want to also bring in you on this point. The NSA meeting the Prime Minister is also to look at perhaps what else can be done at the sub-threshold level, sub-nuclear threshold level, which doesn't lead to a conventional all-out war, but remains a low-intensity conflict where you are still being able to punish Pakistan. And I think that part of this comes from this predetermined sort of outlook after Pahalgam, that look, we are not interested now in interlocuting, we are only interested in imposing costs. That's really what it is. And what is the cost that India will be happy with imposing upon Pakistan, which could serve as a deterrence, is the main question, isn't it?
See, Rahul, I think the Indian standpoint is very clear. The original escalation was by Pakistan in Pahalgam and by Operation Sindoor, where we targeted the terror headquarters of Jaish, Lashkar and the Hizbul amongst the 9 locations. That was the answer of India to finish off Pakistan's terror tap for good. That was India's intention, and for India, larger point of that objective was complete with Operation Sindoor. That was India is very clear. We didn't attack any military infrastructure. But since then, since May 7, just look at what has happened. May 8, May 9, we have seen these swarms of drones coming from Pakistan, targeting our civilian population in cities like Jammu, right from Leh to Sir Creek. And now they've escalated it to missiles, high-speed missiles targeting our military installations, trying to target our Air Force stations and Air Force bases. This India sees is a provocative and deliberate escalation by Pakistan. This is very clear. And the word I'm getting from top government sources is that if they will hit us, we will hit back. We don't care what the US says. We don't care what the world says. If India is hit, India is going to hit back with double the force. And that is what we have seen last night in the airbase of Rawalpindi or the other air bases that India has listed out where it has inflicted damage. India is very clear with that. Also, I think very significant, Rahul, is that the earlier call of Mr. Rubio, the Secretary of State, was to the Pakistani Prime Minister a few days back. That was when things were normal. Pakistan had not, begun its retaliation. But now the US calling up directly Asim Munir, Mr. Rubio speaking to Asim Munir, shows that the Pakistani political establishment, the Prime Minister, is not in control, it seems, of the military strikes. It is Mr. Munir who is on his own agenda to escalate the situation. India is also very clear about it, that it was clear from the start to India that it is Munir who started Pahalgam and who's behind all this. And that is why I think we're seeing India's response is very clear inside, Rahul, inside the top government offices, that India is going to strike back double hard if Pakistan does a strike on India. Yes, we are not escalatory in nature. We are a measured response, but India will not wait if Pakistan is going to do such measures like rain high-speed missiles on our air bases. That is, deliberate, almost an act of war by Pakistan, and India will not tolerate it.
Yes, the trouble is that the Pakistanis are not taking the off-ramp. And I want to go across to Siddhant on this point. Siddhant, look, if India has to begin to heed the advice that is being dished out by the Americans, both countries need an off-ramp now. Luckily for us, the Pakistanis have only saber-rattled, but haven't inflicted any damage. On the other side, we've inflicted damage. It's visible damage. From day one, we took out their terror assets. We've hit their terror infrastructure. Now we are bleeding their military infrastructure, and they haven't done anything. And the pictures on our screens are telling us that they're spreading lies. So, second off-ramp has not been taken by General Munir. And I have to ask you, the conversation in government now must be, how much punishment is enough? And Akash also joins me, and I'm going to bring him into this. What is enough? What is the point where the Indians will be satisfied that Pakistan will say, nahi, ab agli dafa India ko nahi marna hame. Kisi bhi tarike se, kuch bhi karke. We don't want to do this business of cutting using all sorts of extremists, this low subcutaneous sort of subliminal war that we have been waging. What is that point now?
Well, Rahul, the larger, the core of this military strike, in fact, on terror camps was perhaps to establish deterrence. And in fact, now what I could read after, what I could understand after speaking to my sources in the government, and in fact, I'm being told that India will apply policy of tit for tat. If they will hit us, we will hit them back. And this has been told to me by a very senior officer. And in fact, he very clearly said in a layman's language that if they will hit us, we will hit them back. It will be tit for tat. Point number one. Point number two, also Rahul, look at the general, if you look at the pattern in which Operation Sindoor briefings are taking place. India is not asking the generals to go and do the press conference like the Pakistanis are doing. Our press conference is being done by Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri and two of the young lady officers of the forces. Perhaps it again shows that, in India, diplomacy is something which perhaps India, which should be the first path. Okay, and that is a very strong message which India is still sending out, despite so many times attack being done by Pakistani side. That India still believes in diplomacy. Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri is doing press conference. It signifies, it shows that as well. At the same time, today's press conference was also about how Pakistan, since has already lost many battles to India, is now into spreading lies and misinformation.
Yes.
In fact, now what they're doing is that they are into cyber warfare. They
are,
yeah.
Not even that, not even effectively, because even that has been sort of checked by the PIB. Stay on with me, Siddhant. I just want to quickly bring in Akash also, very importantly. Akash, there is now a confirmation that we have struck their bases, but more importantly that Pakistan is moving troops into the forward area with all intentions of ramping up. So this is what has been said by Vikram Misri. Also, there has been talk that we have been able to successfully thwart a large amount of their military capacity. Can you elaborate on these 2 points and what exactly is meant by when the officials there said there's going to be a lot more we will discuss in the afternoon? What are they hinting at? What's this about?
The operation is still on, Rahul. That's the reason why they said that, they will have much more to offer in the evening. And I'll not go into specifics because of the fact that these are ongoing operations. But Rahul, you see, by definition, it is not yet a war, but a conflict. However, the actions that we are seeing from Pakistan, be it using UCAVs or, these high-speed missiles, ballistic missiles, or the jets, these actions are somewhere indicating that they want escalation, further escalation to war. They have been moving their troops to the forward areas. We know that how they have moved their artillery to the civilian population so that they can fire their artillery from that particular village where they have residents living, and if India will retaliate, so they can show to the world that how India is targeting their civilian population. Now, this is an era where, social media plays an important role. And since morning, we have been seeing the narrative, how they have been propagating theories that they have destroyed S-400, they have destroyed several jets, and they have destroyed several military stations and AD systems and radars. This is possibly for two reasons. First one, they want to send a message to the civilians, possibly want to target the morale of the forces, men on ground. But this is not going to happen, Rahul. It has been made very clear. And since morning, we have been seeing that how PIB has been rebutting, all these allegations, claims, and in fact, the narratives that are going, on social media. As far as this particular time is concerned, Rahul, I'm standing in Jammu, and in Jammu, recently one drone was, sighted and in fact has been destroyed. In fact, I cannot show in the air right now. I'll not in fact show the live operations. But then, in Jammu, it is still happening. They are still attempting, several places. And this is the reason why, it has been said that by this evening, we'll give you some more details of the kind of activities that Pakistan is involved in and also the sort of retaliation that is going from India. Till now, it is a measured retaliation, but people have been demanding that there should be some decisive action against Pakistan. Now it will be important to see as to how armed forces are reacting to the sort of activities that have been happening since last night. Later in the evening, yesterday, we saw that how it started with a ceasefire violation in Uri and Kupwara, and then, they started targeting Jammu, in fact, Amritsar, Pathankot, and a number of other, Air Force stations. Now, since they are not successful, they have been changing their weapons. They initially tried it with drones. Yesterday, we saw that how they sent empty drones without explosives, possibly to see the capabilities, possibly to check the sort of systems that we are employing for the air defense. And today they have sent the ballistic missiles. We have reports that they targeted, in fact, the locations in Delhi, and in fact, this attempt was thwarted. But once again, it has been made very clear, we have not disturbed you ever. You were the one, who sent the, terrorists in Pahalgam and carried out that sort of attack where 26 of our tourists were killed. Absolutely. We have only taken action against the terrorists, who have carried out this sort of attack where we have lost our civilians. In fact, we waited for some sort of action that we were anticipating from your side, but you did not take any action against those terrorists who were there on ground, on your ground. And that's the reason why, Indian Armed Forces carried out precision strikes on 7th of May, where they only targeted these infrastructures where we had credible input that these terrorists have been living, their families have been living, and in fact, these are the training camps and not the infrastructures, not just the infrastructures. Also, as far as, the actions after that, we have seen that how India mentioned categorically that we don't want any escalation. We are not going to target your military infrastructure. We are not going to open fire on LC. We are not going to. In fact, we had no movement, in the forward areas. You must be remembering we were getting videos from Pakistan that how they have been mobilizing their troops. They have been sending their artillery, in fact, in a number of areas. But we did not have any movement at all because we did not, want war. But now it seems that whatever Pakistan is doing is escalatory in nature, Rahul.
Escalatory in nature, but India has also said that, look, we have continued to give Pakistan the off-ramp. We have continued to focus on military infrastructure. We are not targeting like the immature, petulant, and obviously invidious, evil-minded Pakistani military establishment that is targeting our civilians with all sorts of motives. Now, here it is, viewers. This is Saroda Airbase that was targeted, and you can see the plumes of smoke. A large number of people in Pakistan gathered, watching in absolute shock and awe at India's audacity. Look at this. This is a precision strike on a military and minimum collateral damage. That is what we've been told this morning. Minimum collateral damage. Let's have a look at the Sheikhupura district, this is a drone impact on Lahore. This is not, of course, an airbase, but in Lahore, the streets, these people are talking about the actions that they have witnessed from the Indian military. And they are completely in a state of shock. There is a huge swath of fire on the horizon, lighting up that horizon in Lahore, Sheikhupura. Let's have a look at the next. Here it is, Pindi, viewers. That's the base, the Pindi base. This is really the heart of the military establishment. You can't get any closer to the general headquarters. Munir must be sitting and quaking in his boots right now because this is Pindi. Look at that massive cloud up there and that huge spark of light lighting up the entire sky. This has happened in the dead of the night, but look at the bright lights because it's a massive explosion. Noor Khan Airbase on fire. We've been told that it is massively impacted. We're going to go across to our guests now to get a bit of a sense of what really India has done, what is the motive behind it, what it means for Pakistan as far as degradation is concerned. And of course, there'll also be Brahmacharani because we're going to talk a little bit. And this is Narawal, viewers. Look at the horizon. Look at the extent. This is a massive strike on military infrastructure, hobbling Pakistan as we speak. Hobbling Pakistan to the point where they're going to have a few problems, viewers, responding. And we've got Pakistan where we want them. What can we do next? Those are the fundamental questions. Tilak Devasher, let me bring you on this as well as Brahmacharani. Important conversation this morning. You've heard the press briefing. You're up to speed with all the details. So Tilak Devasher, first of all, what has India tried to do with these military targets? What was the intent behind this? Why are we targeted these specific bases, etc.? I think you're on mute, so I can't quite hear you. If you could just unmute yourself, thank you.
I'm so sorry.
Yes, there you go.
You know, you remember on your show last night, we were talking about India's response and being proportionate and responsible. I think last night India did get back and hit Pakistan in response to what they made. So you've had attacks on these various military bases. And I'm glad that this was done because, you know, you are now telling Pakistan, the message you're conveying to Pakistan is that enough is enough, that you're going to continue on this path, then you better be prepared to face the wrath of India. Second, two other points I'd like to make, Rahul. One is that Shehbaz Sharif has called for a meeting of the National Command Authority. Now, National Command Authority is the apex body that talks about the nuclear policy and the nuclear, all the matters relating to the nuclear policy of Pakistan. I don't think so. This is a very serious move. I think this is just to show the world that things are getting out of hand and that you had better escalate. But this is something that India needs to watch very carefully, what happens in that meeting of the National Command Authority. Second, if you read between the lines of the US statement by Secretary Rubio, I think what he's doing is giving you a free hand. Rather than weighing in on India's side, I think they're telling you that, look, do whatever you have to do and sort it out amongst yourself. I think I would look at it in that frame of mind rather than saying that the US did not weigh in on India. I think India is pretty competent. They also realize competent to deal with Pakistan on their own. So whatever they have to do, they will do. So long as I think there are no boots on the ground, and so long as there is not, you go up the escalatory ladder to a stage where you escalate up to the nuclear point, I don't think so the US or China are going to get too excited.
Devasher, the foreign minister has just responded, Dr. Jaishankar. He said, I had a conversation with US Secretary Rubio this morning. India's approach has always been measured and responsible and remains so. So it does two lines put out there. What do you make of this response?
What else can he say?
Yes.
He's going to say exactly that.
Yes.
There is just a measured response to what Pakistan is doing. But Pakistan has gone up the escalatory ladder. You know, there was a report that they fired a missile at Delhi, at the national capital region. Now, if that is not a major escalation, then what is an escalation? I mean, Pakistan is willing to risk attacking your capital. Fortunately, we were able to disable it to make sure before it hit Delhi. But what if it had hit Delhi? And how do you know it's an armed conventional or is it a nuclear armed missile? So Pakistan is testing the limits of India's patience, and therefore any response henceforth will be measured, but that measure will also go up several notches.
Well, again, since you're talking about that, well, let me report two other developments. Sirens on in Jammu and another explosion heard in Srinagar. So let's just hope that everything is, everyone is out of harm's way. Akash joining us for more on these details. Ishan Wani reporting another explosion heard in Srinagar. Akash, the sirens in Jammu and the explosion heard in Srinagar. Yes.
Yes, we have been hearing the sirens. In fact, I'll try to give you some natural ambience. There you have the sirens. And, these sirens are on since just a while back. We heard the AD gun sound destroying, one drone. And I was, in fact, reporting that, Rahul. In fact, in Srinagar, we have been, hearing about similar activities. So it seems like Pakistan is still not, in fact, letting its
big news coming in,
from
Akash.
the sort of
Big news
activities
coming
that they
in.
have.
First phone call between India and Pakistan. The DGMOs are talking. Now, just break this down for us. DGMOs talking. What does this mean?
Yes, Director General Military Operations. We have seen that how their offices connected last Tuesday. But Manoj Gupta has been reporting that one hotline connection has been established, in fact, today. And Pakistan wants de-escalation. This is a big news coming in fact, Rahul. Pakistan wants de-escalation. Situation is, in fact, bad in the country and Pakistan wants to meet Indian side. This was the connection between the DGMOs on both the sides and they have spoken on hotline. DGMO, remember, is someone, who takes care of the operation of the military on both sides. And we have been given to understand that DGMOs connected from both the sides and Pakistan
right now, I have to go across
de-escalation.
Okay, just 1 second because we only have him for 10 minutes apparently and I've been asked to go straight across to the father of Daniel Pearl. Daniel Pearl, we have to go across to Jude Pearl. I'm being told that we only have him for 10 minutes. I'm sorry, viewers, but in the middle of this breaking news, I have to go across to Jude Pearl, I'm told. Jude Pearl, your reactions really to the Indian strike, taking out the brother of Masood Azhar, a person directly connected with the incident involving your son.
Are you speaking to me?
Yes, Mr. Jude Pearl.
Oh, I can hardly hear you. Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, the question was what my reaction is. I'm, of course, very delighted that the issues of my son has come to the attention of the media and the general public because it has been almost forgotten. And what was forgotten is the fact that the people responsible for his murder have not been brought to justice. So I'm glad that at least a person who was indirectly connected with his abduction was killed. I'm not sure that he was killed, actually. I haven't seen any confirmation from the Pakistani side that Azhar was killed. But I trust the Indian intelligence to verify that.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Jude Pearl, for speaking with us. Thank you very much. We'll just come back to you in just a short while. There has been a huge development here in India, viewers. Let's go back to that big story. I want to go straight back to Siddhant. News coming out that nervous Pakistan is seeming to wave the white flag. Can we remove the Jude, yes, the Pearl visuals? Yes, there you go. There you go, Siddhant.
Well, yes, that's right, Rahul. In fact, this is what Manoj Gupta is bringing for us, this piece of information that Pakistan wants to de-escalate. Rahul, situation is bad in Pakistan. Pakistan wants to meet Indian side. In fact, first communication between the two countries have been established. Communication has been established. This is what Manoj Gupta is bringing for us. First direct talk has taken place between India and Pakistan since the escalation. This is a DGMO level talks, perhaps a very big piece of breaking input we are putting out for our viewers, and in fact this has been brought to us by investigation editor Manoj Gupta, and in fact he has got this confirmation that that there has been a direct contact which has been established by Pakistan with India. Pakistan wants to de-escalate. Now they don't want to further escalate the situation. Perhaps, Rahul, this development is also happening after Secretary Rubio speaking directly to Asim Munir this morning. And in fact, we were reporting that how that particular call was only to tell Asim Munir directly that, look, better de-escalate or face the consequences. And now we're getting to know that Pakistan has reached out to India, and in fact, first DGMO level communication has been established. Pakistan wants to de-escalate. Situation is bad in the country. Their own people are not liking that in these times when there is the economy is in doldrums. Pakistan is going all out on war with India, and this is one of the reasons that Manoj Gupta is telling us that Pakistan has reached out to us. First, DGMO level communication has been established between the two sides. A very, very important piece of input.
Okay, let me bring in Akash. Let me bring in Akash on this point. We also have, of course, Tilak Devashare, and we also have Brahmachaleni with us to put this into perspective. But Akash, yes, over to you. This is big news, very big news.
It is big, in fact, for the first time when DGMOs have connected, because till now only officers were getting connected where the colonel rank or brigadier rank officers were talking to each other. But this time around, we are learning that Director General of Military Operations on both the sides have connected via hotline, and Manoj Gupta, has been bringing this input for us, where he is suggesting that Pakistan, wants de-escalation. In fact, there are bad conditions there in the country, and that's the reason why they want to meet the Indian side. Possibly, meeting would happen very soon because DGMOs have somewhere talked to each other. Rahul, just one context, back in 2021, when there was a constant ceasefire violations on the LC, even at that time, DGMOs played an important role, and it was February 2021 when there was a DGMO level understanding for ceasefire. And since then, we were not seeing any sort of escalation on the borders. Once again, when things were getting escalated, it seems that DGMOs have connected and Pakistan wants de-escalation. This is indeed a big development that Manoj Gupta has been bringing to us. And, in fact, what was the sort of issues that were discussed? One meeting was the core agenda. We have been told that, they wanted to meet. And since this was a hotline communication, so, of course, not many things were discussed. But definitely, Pakistan wants a de-escalation. This has been clearly indicated, and in fact sources have been suggesting this to Manoj Gupta, that how Pakistani DGMO and in fact the Indian DGMO connected on hotline, and they discussed the current scenario, and Pakistan wants de-escalation, Rahul.
De-escalation is the buzzword right now. This is very, very interesting news, viewers. Yes, Pakistan has been punished. We've shown you those pictures, and I'm going to ask our director, Saab, to show those pictures of Pakistan being eviscerated. We also have confirmation, and not contested, because this has been confirmed by DG ISPR, that they have been attacked on their air bases, viewers. Don't forget this. This is confirmation that came this morning from DG ISPR. He looked glum. His face was small, shrunken. His cheeks were shrunken, he looked petrified, and we have struck really in Rawalpindi. In Rawalpindi, viewers, that's where General Munir sits, and therefore he picked up that phone from Rubio almost immediately, because he realized that his time is up. His time is up. And I want to bring in Siddhant. Siddhant, the compulsions here weighing on the Pak Army Chief are great. He's leading his country into a massive misadventure. He doesn't have the public support. He doesn't have political support. This man is completely in it for himself, and he realizes he's made a grave error of judgment.
Well, that's right, Rahul. And in fact, he heard it from Americans this morning. This is what I have been told. And since a very long time, Rahul, he was looking for this opportunity. Asim Munir was looking for this opportunity. In fact, there is a direct link between his speech given at Pakistani diaspora event, perhaps where he said that the both countries were divided on the religious lines. And perhaps right after that, Pahalgam took place, where, the people were singled out on the basis of religion and killed. So, there is direct linkage between the two. In fact, the same was highlighted by Foreign Secretary also on the very first day of his press briefing. So, Asim Munir is the mastermind of Pahalgam terror attack, and perhaps he is calling the shots in Pakistan, and Americans know it very well, and this is the reason that last time when Rubio spoke, he spoke to Shehbaz Sharif, but nothing happened, because Americans also understood that Shehbaz Sharif is a puppet, nobody will listen to him. So today, this call was made, this call directly to a army chief. Perhaps, Rahul, is a very big thing. American Secretary of State, National Security Advisor, will never talk to a counterpart who is much below to him in
And why is all of this happening, viewers? Siddhant, stay on with me. Why is all of this happening? Because we're getting inputs left, right and center now. Viewers, we are completely on the front foot here. And we're getting inputs that ADG PI has put out a statement of the Indian Army saying that Indian Army pulverizes terrorist launch pads. Their entire auxiliary infrastructure has been absolutely eviscerated as a response to Pakistan's misadventures of attempted drone strikes on the night of 08 and 09 May 2025 in multiple cities of Jammu and Kashmir and Punjab. The Indian Army conducted a coordinated fire assault on terrorist launch pads, pulverizing and raising them to cinders. The terrorist launch pads located close to the line of control were a hub for planning and executing terror attacks against Indian civilians and security forces in the past. The Indian Army's swift and decisive action has dealt a significant blow to terrorist infrastructure and capabilities. All of these details, viewers, being put out now by the ADGPI, and that were put out in about 10 minutes back. Massive views. All the photographs of that action are here. This is how it's gone up, viewers, on the LOC. They are taking them out one by one. Those are our forces using their munitions, and you can see them in their bunkers, winding it all up and releasing these grenade launchers, all sorts of other munitions. Viewers, I'm not going to go into the munitions, but they've been put out there for the world to see. There you can see it, pulverizing the living daylights out of Pakistan, its proxies. It is complete focus, it is clinical, and it is absolutely debilitatory. Pakistan falling apart. And if they are pushing troops to the front lines, viewers, it allows us to engage at the front lines and even alter the LOC. Remember, even that can be done. So you can see these pictures. This is a video that has been put out. This is a relay of all the action that has been taking place. It is a complete newsreel, one after the other, and Indian soldiers showing the victory sign, flashing the victory sign there, viewers. They're doing this in every video. They are completely blowing the Pakistanis out of their bunkers, smoking them out. This is what India has brought to the table. It is brought to the table not just at the LOC, but on Pakistan soil. 8 bases flattened, viewers, we are being told. Massive punishment being inflicted on the body of Pakistan. The body politic, the mind, scarring the mind. The public is out on the streets, shocked, seeing their country in flames. Look at those pictures, viewers. That's Rawalpindi. That is where the Pakistani army sits and plots evilly against India. Today, they are not safe in their cribs. They are not safe there, viewers. Look at that Rawalpindi in flames, ball of flames lighting up the sky. Noor Khan Airbase flattened. Those are the pictures, viewers. Video released by the ADGPI 10 minutes ago. Look at these pictures. The Indian Army clinical, bashing the brains out of Pakistan's terror and, of course, BAT, as well as their forward positions. There you can see them, viewers, completely. And after each one of those attacks, a victory sign. You can see them going up one by one. This could be out of Rambo, viewers. This is not a movie. This is absolute real life. Fact is always stranger than fiction. It is more compelling than fiction. This is what it's looking like right now for India. Pakistan blown out, pushed back, mentally scarred, physically debilitated, and worse, viewers, militarily on the back foot, thwarted, defanged. They don't know what to do. They've tried everything. Now, the deranged leadership is trying to play the nuclear card. The National Command Authority is being summoned. They're doing what they always do. hold a gun to their heads to negotiate, get the world to pay attention, say, come, still India's hand, help us. It's a cry for help. Let me go across to, I think we're supposed to go across to Siddhant, right? To go back to Siddhant. Okay, we don't have a reporter right now. Colonel Kohli joins us live. Colonel Kohli, this is a complete annihilation, isn't it?
Good morning, Rahul. I'm Lieutenant General Kohli. Anyway,
sorry, General Kohli.
No, that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Sorry about that.
Absolutely
General
okay.
Kohli, yes.
This was expected, Rahul. This was expected. They do not have the capacity and the wherewithal to fight. It was known to them also, but they had been showing bravado so far. And yesterday, the boost which they got through IMF, $2.3 billion which they got, which they started. And they were, that time also, in fact, yesterday I was on a TV, I was mentioning this only. They knew that they will get us on the negotiation table through American pressure or through somebody else. And before that, they wanted to achieve something so that they could show to their population that they have also been able to do something. So, though their attempts have failed, even they attempted today a missile at Delhi, which was also failed. But now they are seeing the future because they do not have, their ammunition is less, their economy is less. You know what economic conditions are. So
Absolutely.
What this 2.3 billion has been given, how long will it last? 15 plus 2.3. You see, we have 660 billion if you talk of the forex what we have. So they do not have the capacity. But at the same time, Rahul, I wish to say, we should not let go of this opportunity. Today, conditions are very good for us. In the past, if you see these many 70 years, 4 wars we have fought with them. We have allowed them to go away. In 71, these many prisoners were given. Haji Pir Pass was given in 65. We should make use of the situation what is there today. We must achieve something and sort of inflict on them deterrent punishment so that they don't do this kind of thing in future. Because any kind of peace treaty with them will have no meaning. It will last only for a few years, few months only.
Let me bring in Professor Nalapat. Good morning, Professor. Good afternoon, rather. 5 minutes past noon. And we have Pakistan leaning against the ropes. Their air bases flattened, their forward positions pulverized. I'm not saying it, the ADGPI is saying it. I'm not saying it, the MEA is saying it. This is a complete humiliation, a defanging of Pakistan. It's happening at the behest of the Prime Minister of India. We are teaching them a lesson. We are establishing deterrence. We are also being told now that nervous Pakistan is seeking a meeting with India. It's willing to throw in the white towel. We've got them where we want them, Professor Nalapat. What should we do?
We haven't got them, Rahul. The fact is that they always do this. Whenever they are down, they want to resist a knockout blow, which will come soon. And then they say, well, you know, now I'm down. Now I'll come back up. And then they swear everlasting peace. That peace usually lasts only a few weeks.
Yes.
If it's not that long.
General Kohli is saying the same thing. Yeah.
A bunch of cheats,
yes,
a bunch of liars, and they are hardwired to hate India. The GHQ Rawalpindi is hardwired to hate India. The colonel knows full well the unique chemistry that they have. They genuinely believe that Hindus and Muslims are two different species. They have invented a new form of biology. So what they're looking for, they know they're on the ropes. They are on the ropes. They want to avoid a knockout blow. The point is, this is not the time for any kind of leniency. You have to give that knockout blow. And in the meantime, whatever devices they have for interception, whatever devices they have for finding out what is coming at them, these devices need to be put out of commission. Pakistan needs to be rendered completely defenseless. We have the means. I'm sorry to say that the United States doesn't seem to understand. It's a war between Terroristan and India. But I'm sure that people are going to reach out to the MAGA community in the US, and they're going to understand that very soon, that their president is wrong, their establishment is wrong. That is India which is fighting terror. And when you want to fight the global war on terror, this is the most important front. And Pakistan is the facilitator of terror. Hamas, Hezbollah, you name the organization. There are Pakistani trainers working there, retired or serving. And again, This is well known. So the reality is, this is not the time to let go.
So, Professor, I want to ask you, because Pakistan is convening this meeting. First of all, Mark Rubio calls not the Prime Minister, he calls the General, General Munir, number one, which tells you that Munir perhaps did all of this because he wants to consolidate power, perhaps even go in for a coup and install himself as the real leader of Pakistan, come out of the shadows, so to speak, number one. Number two, the National Command Authority has been summoned by the Prime Minister. What does all this mean?
It means nothing. It means hot air, frankly. The reality is the nuclear button cannot be pressed. You remember some decades ago, there was a big hoo-ha. Again, the Americans got very alarmed. Oh my God, nuclear conflict. And the reality, and I wrote at that point in time, there'll never be a nuclear conflict. Pakistan knows very well that you might eliminate quite a lot of Indians, but nowhere close to. We will eliminate practically the whole of Pakistan if that happens, and the whole region will be affected. So they are, I mean, irrational, but they're not madcaps. The Nuclear Command Authority thing is a farce. It's not meant for India. We know the truth. It's meant for the United States. And Marco Rubio, frankly, doesn't know what is happening. He has been misbriefed. He doesn't understand this situation. He doesn't understand the Pakistan army. He better bone up. And he better, because Rubio has studied China, he better understand Chinese tactics. Pakistan has become a Chinese proxy. Just when Apple and Google and others were shifting from China and relocating to India, you have Pahalgam. Is that a coincidence? Of course not. The Chinese are terrified that India will, with the decoupling that takes place in China, which I regard as inevitable. You may have coziness, you may have trade talks, but the fundamental interests are divergent, and the US and China will decouple. In that situation, the US needs India. Marco Rubio needs to look at China and its connections with Pakistan, and then he can understand what we are facing.
Now, Professor Nalapad, I want you to, you're a foremost analyst, so I want you to tell me, what really has India achieved by going in there and knocking out some of these air bases? What was the thinking? We'd also ask the General that question, General Kohli. I'll bring him in too. But Professor, you're thinking about the targets. Now, if you're going and attacking the Pakistani military in Rawalpindi, you're basically telling them that we've got you by the scruff of the neck. It's only a matter of turning our guns in your direction. And Munir, you can be wherever you are, but you're not safe.
Rahul, please understand that these gentlemen do not believe India was capable of this kind of a completely comprehensive response. They regard, I mean, I'm sorry to use religious terms, I've never believed in religious differentiation. I've always believed in all faiths living peaceably, but they honestly believe the Hindu is some kind of an inferior species. The Hindu cannot fight back. The Hindu is the only mammal in the world without a backbone. They honestly believe that. From the time you look at school textbooks in Pakistan, you look at school textbooks, there you're taught to have contempt for the Hindu, to despise the Hindu, and the primary rule of wartime is never underestimate your enemy. The fact is, we are Homo sapiens. They have a backbone, a pretty weak now. We have a backbone, but the point is, Rahul, they're economically very vulnerable. They are on the ropes economically as well. And they will go under if this lasts for more than, I would say, about 2 weeks. The Pakistan economy will collapse like a house of cards. And all those people in the IMF who voted, we need to out them. We need to put their images out. We need to show who they are, because these people will have blood on their hands. They are funding a terror machine. They're not funding the civilian government. Shahbaz Sharif is a paper cutout. He has no authority, nothing. And Munir is the madcap who made Pahalgam happen, believing, oh, ye Hindu hai. Hindu kya karega? Arey, kuch nahi karega. Ek do yahan, hum 2-3 thapad laega, khatam ho jayega. I'm sorry to say, over the decades, we proved Munir right. but not this time, not under this Prime Minister, not the Indian people today. We are different from the Indian people of some time, decades ago. The Indian people of today are saying enough is enough. Let's put an end to this situation once and for all. And we have them, as you correctly said, on the ropes. So now they want to second wind. They want to again recover and recoup. Do you think Israel is going to allow Hamas a second wing, Hezbollah a second wing, the IRGC a second win? Of course not. I mean, the Israelis made a big mistake in tolerating Hamas for so long. We made a big mistake in tolerating this terror machine for so long. But the fact is, Rahul, they have a distorted view of India.
Yes.
And that view blinds them to reality that this is a resolute, resilient people with a resolute, resilient leadership under Prime Minister Modi. And we have enough, domestic talent to have produced some of the finest weapons which are now being deployed in combat.
Yes,
and
we've really come to this, haven't we? Very well prepared. Over the last 10 years since 2014, we've been thinking this through. Yes, there has been a huge amount, viewers, and you have to now go back to those conversations. Those people who printed in their newspapers reports about how the Rafale, this, that, the other was not up to it, how we shouldn't be buying it, how this is a big scam. All of that was happening, Professor, if you remember. At every stage, Modi was being opposed. When he talked about Atmanirbhar Bharat and the investment in defense, people laughed at him. Today, he's having the last laugh. And also, I want you to weigh in on this because this is very important. The one person who's changed strategic thinking is Ajit Doval. It's quite clear. Ajit Doval is the man who's having his moment, he's having his revenge. He was the IB director in IC 814 times, if you remember, 1999. We all covered it. And at that time, he was actually implicated as being the one who came up with this soft strategy of going out there and exchanging terrorists for hostages. And he wasn't, it later turned out, was wrongly blamed. So he's been waiting for his moment. He's got his moment. He has been the prime orchestrator of this strategic new recalibration in Indian thinking. Would you agree, sir?
Well, I'll tell you that the one person who understands India very well is Ajit Doval. There's no question about it. The man understands Pakistan as well, and he understands Pakistan like the palm of his hand. So there's no question that he knows the psychology of that country, and there's no question that he would have advised the Prime Minister. But the fact is, we have a very determined leader. Minister, but he worked under Narasimha Rao. If he had worked under some other leader, maybe he would have been a flop as finance minister. But the reality is, Ajit Doval has got the perfect leader for him. And that's why he's working so beautifully. And because we have Prime Minister Modi, we have a resolute Prime Minister, we have a resilient people, we have a glorious armed forces. What are we waiting for, Rahul? Let's end this menace of cross-border terrorism once and for all.
India wants, viewers. That's what India wants. And I want to bring in General Kohli. Stay on with me, Professor Nalapat. Professor Nalapat, top of his game, as always, viewers. As always, giving you insight. He's incisive. He knows exactly what to talk about. A Pakistani drone shot down there once again. Viewers, they're throwing it all at us, the kitchen sink and everything, but they're not going far. Look at that. Jammu and Kashmir is at the front line. We've been told there in Jammu, in Bishna area, another drone down. There have been loud bangs once again in Srinagar. In the morning at 5:58 or 5:48, if I'm not mistaken, there were 2 loud bangs. Many people have said that Pakistan aircraft are down there. That's a different story because that's an ongoing operation. I don't want to talk about it too much, viewers. But we heard from the MEA that they're going to come back and give us a full briefing in the afternoon. So that'll be around 4:30, and that's going to be very, very interesting. They've said there's a lot to still tell you, a lot to update you about. Wait, have patience, just follow the guidelines. Yes, General Saab, I want to bring you in on this. Professor Nalapat is of the view now that this is it. This is our moment. Let's not fall for all these, highfalutin conversations that come out of Washington, D.C. and this, that, the other and get pressured and, think that we should. Yes, of course, we want Tilak Deveshwar also. Please bring him in. Very important voice in this calculus. But General, this is it really. From a military strategist point of view, could you be better placed? I'm just asking, and I don't want to get ahead of ourselves. Look, anything can happen in battle, so we have to be very, very careful. We don't want to sound triumphal. We don't want to at any level sound as if, we won any big contest. We haven't even gone up 1 or 2% on the escalation ladder. So it's very early days. But yes, we have shown that whatever they thought of us is wrong. So, General.
Rahul, before I answer that, I just want to say, you see, this call is between the DGMOs.
Yeah.
And this is the calls between DGMOs are a routine thing which happen. Even during the previous wars, these kind of calls have taken place.
Yeah.
And in any case, monthly they speak to each other. At times weekly they do speak, depending on the condition.
Yeah.
So we may not read too much
into it, yes.
with this call. Second point which you said, Rahul, there is no doubt in this. This is the moment, either now or never. We are very well placed. Firstly, militarily, if you ask me economically, diplomatically, international support, no matter whatever America is saying, America is in any case, they run with hare and hunt with hound.
That's
the
right.
way they have done it so far with number of countries. But, and other thing is, you see the total domestic support is with us. Today, the entire nation is behind Prime Minister Modi. And everyone is expecting that something should happen.
Yeah.
Now, talking purely from armed forces point of view.
One second, sir. Just a second. There's some news coming through. I just want to go across to our reporter. I'll come right back to you. This is an evolving situation, viewers. Tejinder Sori with us. Tejinder, yes, what can you tell us? Update us, please.
Yes, sir, Rahul. Pakistani drone has been shot down by our air defense system in the Bishna area. It is in Jammu, wherein the Pakistani drone tried to carry out attack on a vital military installation in the area. We are not disclosing the exact location and the exact name of the military installation, but yes, a vital military installation was the target of this drone. However, our anti-aircraft mechanism that is in place in that area has taken down this drone. Now this drone has been taken away by security forces, and they are analyzing what type of drone it was, what type of payload it was carrying. So clearly, once again, the nefarious design of the enemy nation, Pakistan, has been foiled by our security forces. And there are also reports that several other drones have been shot down in other places, including Pathankot in Srinagar. So these reports are being verified. But in Bishna, yes, a Pakistani drone whose target was a vital military installation in the area has been shot down by our security forces, by our defense mechanism. Yes,
okay. Also, we're getting news that certain loud explosions have been heard in Srinagar or over Srinagar. Can you confirm that?
Yes, Rahul. There are reports that Pakistani drone has also been shot down near the Srinagar airport. The entire area has been sealed. There is electricity in the entire area has been cut off, and air raid sirens are on in various places, including Baramulla, including Srinagar. Yes, some loud bangs were heard in the vicinity of Srinagar airport, wherein the report suggests that a Pakistani drone has been shot down. In Pathankot also there were certain explosions, and the sources are saying that another Pakistani drone which tried to attack the Pathankot Air Force Station has also been shot down by our air defense mechanism, which is in place in the area. Yes, Rahul.
Okay, stay on with me. I just want to quickly go across to Wing Commander Abhishek Mathiman, as well as, of course, General Kohli. Both of them are in with us. Professor Nalapat stays on with us. We're also going to try and connect with Tilak Devasher. This has been an evolving situation, viewers. What's happening on the ground? We know now that Pakistan is reeling. Abhishek Mathiman. Can you hear me, sir? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I
Wing
can
Commander.
hear you. Loud
Yes,
and clear.
weigh in on this, sir. We've completely taken their bases out. We are being told that by the MEA. You heard the press conference. Lots of details emerging from that press conference. We're seeing the skyline above those bases alit. I mean, there's fire all over the place. It looks as if they walked into some sort of an inferno. They're done. They're fried.
Absolutely, Rahul. And what my point of view is, hereafter, let's make them continue crying visibly in front of the world and in front of their own populace. General Munir, I am talking about. Let him keep crying, keep begging for peace, keep begging he needs to come out with a begging ball on this front also.
That's fine, but I want to ask you, Wing Commander Mathiman, just talk me through these bases that we've attacked. What do you make of these attacks? Number one, why were these targets picked?
See, having prodded for the last, say, more than 48 hours, their defensive as well as offensive capabilities, as I said yesterday, their entire network, the EW network and the air defense network, lie exposed. We knew where exactly the loopholes are. All our projectiles went through, whereas they were hardly able to land any of theirs on our soil on target. So having done so, we went for the kill. The first step was to carry out SEAD missions, suppression of enemy air defenses, which we did very clinically, one by one, on their air defense radars, on their much touted Chinese superior technology radars, putting them down, biting the dust. And thereafter, clinically went from one airfield to the other, from Rahim Yar Khan to Sukkur to Noor Khan to Sargodha to Rawalpindi to Chaklala. All these airfields have historically been the backbone of the much touted Fizaya Pakistani Air Force. Now that these airfields have been put to rest, at least temporarily, we have a clear window. We have a clear window to go for the kill. Mind you, in the morning, what they did was they launched a tactical ballistic missile which was apparently headed, as per information, towards our national capital region. We were lucky. I would rather say we were so professional, and the last 48 hours have shown that. And what we had been doing all this while, we knocked this one also right out of the sky, right in the middle of its flight path over Sirsa. The air warriors and all the armed forces so far have been doing a fantastic job, and I think the time has come for us to
So are you saying,
continue.
You see, Mr. Vikram Misri, when he was addressing, or I think one of the two officers were addressing, they made references to a high-speed missile from Pakistan. Is that what they were talking about? Is that the high-speed missile? Yes. The tactical ballistic missile? I'm not a military man. I don't understand military stuff, so please break it down for our viewers. And people like me.
That was an indication, to my knowledge and to my understanding, that was the Fatah-II he was pointing out to, which, as per reports, was launched this morning. And that is a trigger enough for us not only to react, not only to escalate, but react in